My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. The sad Jakey boy and I are going to break down the entire UFC 311 fight card, and we're going to give you our picks, our predictions, our bets, and our DraftKings plays. But before I do that, let me tell you where him and I are going to be next weekend. Next Saturday, Jakey boy and I are going to be at the PFC in Frisco. PFC is a regional MMA show. Peak Fighting Championship. They're doing their 42nd event right here in Frisco, Texas. Couple of minutes from where Jakey boy lives, right up the street from me, and we're going to be there. We reach out to them. We're talking to them. We're going to do some fight of the night stuff, hang out, enjoy the fights. If you happen to be in the Dallas Metroplex area, buy a ticket. They're freaking $10, $20, couple of bucks. It's at the Co-America Center. Come say hi. Come hang out with ya boys. This is next Saturday. We will be there at PFC 42 in Frisco, and obviously we're going to vlog the entire thing. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about some changes. If you're here for the first time since the jump, if you jump ship at UFC 310, you take a break, you're here for the pay-per-views with the boys, let me give you some updates at We Want Picks. First of all, we have an app now. The app is available right now, 100% free on the App Store. Just search We Want Picks. That app will give you every single thing that you can do from the website, and then push notifications. You'll never miss a bet. You'll never miss an update. We send those notifications directly to your phone through the app. Download it now. It's absolutely 100% free. On that app, you will have access to everything we do, including the bets. Here's a look at the last 6 pay-per-view results. I shared this data with you in a previous video because we tend to absolutely smoke pay-per-views. A 41% ROI over the last 6 pay-per-views. I saw somebody say, hey, 6 is a random number. Why 6? Because it's 6 months. One pay-per-view a month. The last 6 months, that seems like a pretty round number to me. The last 6 months, the last 6 pay-per-views, a 41% ROI across those pay-per-views. And that's because we tend to dominate the pay-per-views. At one point in time, they called us the pay-per-view boys. Now Jacob's wearing this. Nobody's ever going to call us anything other than a clown. You all right there, Boinky?
I'm doing as well as I can be.
Given the circumstances. All right. Well, I'm just going to continue moving forward. If you do want to check out all those bets and the picks and everything else, you'll not only have access to the bets that dominate on pay-per-views, but also the safety parlay. 10 of the last 11 safety parlays hit. 10 of the last 11. Think about that. 11 events. The highs and lows and the chaos of UFC. In 10 of those events, the safety parlay absolutely smoked. And the only one that missed by under 1 minute at UFC China. A 68% ROI from one single bet. We also have the greatest DraftKings ownership projections on the planet. Here's the UFC Vegas 101 DraftKings projections and how we smoked the rest of the world, putting that out there. And here's a last look at the data analyzer. So here's an update for you. The data analyzer got a full refresh. Premium membership is not just copy-paste bets. There's also tools and insight and everything you could ever need heading into a fight week. Some of you like to do your own research, find your own prop bets, do your own thing. Those people have used the data analyzer in the past. Here's a quick update. Full refresh with how it looks, how quickly it loads, all of that. We've also reorganized the page a bit to get you the data you want or need even faster. If you take a look at this and you're wondering what the hell it is, first you select your event, then you select your fighter. Immediately, it'll give you a fighter comparison, all the pertinent biological points, like height, reach, length, all of that, and then all the pertinent data points. How many strikes are you landing? How many strikes are you getting hit with? How many takedowns, etc. Then you can start to add and remove filters and stack those filters. For example, on this little chart, what you're seeing here is how many, I think it's on Islam Makhachev, how many significant strikes Islam Makhachev lands in decision wins. And on average, it's 1.95 per minute. You see this adjusted chart. You hover over any one of the plot points. You can see the judges, the scorecards. You can see all the data. You click a button, the video pops up. You can watch that fight. The greatest research tool ever designed or invented. All of this is included with premium membership. Other tools like the line movement tracker, the prop hunter, which is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. And we've added more people. It's not just me And Baby Red over here, we've always had Artem, and now we've got Betsam. We literally have the New Zealand MMA scene on lock. And if you're wondering who all these other names are, if you're one of the people that care about all of those tracking sites and that information, you will see that the four of us, Jakey Boy, Angelo, Betsam, Artem, are consistently top 10 in the world at just picking fights. And then we also have a robot picking fights as well. Every single freaking thing that I just mentioned and a whole bunch of other things that I didn't mention because of the interest of time is only $10 for an entire month. All of the events in a 1 month window, and not a calendar month, not 30 days, a month. Today is January 14th. You have full access till February, till Valentine's Day. $10 for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. That's for Valentine's Day. That triggered some thoughts. We are filming vlogs, quite a few vlogs. We just filmed one.
Oh, Billy.
We just filmed one vlog at UFC Vegas 101. Jakey Boy and I went out there, watched the fight, sat cage guy, did all the thing. You can check that out now. That vlog is already up. I'm filming a vlog this weekend because it's UFC 311. And then, of course, when we go to the Peak Fighting Championships next weekend, we'll be filming a vlog there. Part of the vlogs is mail day. If you want to send something, here's the address. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. And then here is that thumbnail for that vlog at UFC Vegas 101. Check it out. Lots of really cool stuff there. If you've never been to the Apex, I had not been either. This was my first experience. So you get a full vlog, the feel for the Apex, what that's like, what that arena is like. Part of that arena is being able to hear everything. Jakey Boy did a couple of insane stunts, yelling hot dogs to the point where Dominic Cruz had to laugh on like live broadcast and explain why the hell he was laughing. We had Chris Curtis.
That was a good one, too. That was not even a hot dogs. That was like, hot dog. No, I said, get your hot dog, yeah. And the important part about that is not only it's important when it's quiet in the Apex, but sometimes the commentators are talking, so you can't really even hear it on the broadcast, but nobody was saying fucking anything.
It was just only
hot
that.
Dog, yeah.
So you get to experience that with me for the very first time through the vlog. A couple of other interesting things that happened while they were there, and there's chapters if you want to just fast forward, you crybaby bitch. At one point in time, Chris Curtis was kicked in the genitals, and he was on our side of the cage. He's leaning up against the cage, trying to shake out his nuts, and Jacob is yelling to Ihor Pateria, you're not going to beat him.
It's Kopylov.
Roman Kopylov. You're not going to beat him in a boxing match. Meaning, stop boxing with this dude. You're a kickboxer. Use your legs.
I think I said, you'll never beat this guy in a boxing match. Quit trying to box him. And Chris Curtis goes, hey, don't help him.
Yeah, stop helping him. Just yelled at you. Stop helping him.
He said, don't help him. I was like, all right.
All in good fun. Another thing that happened was, you'll see it in the vlog, but C-Rod flipped Jacob off. Have you seen that video or that clip or that? It is Jacob he's flipping off. And it's because when C-Rod was walking out, Jacob gave him a thumbs down. No harm, didn't yell any words.
Guy got
just
uber
a thumbs down.
Thumbs I didn't down. Say where he said in his post, and I'm sure it's all in good fun. I don't think he definitely planned that. He just happened to see me and was like, oh, that's the guy. Hey, buddy. But you said in his post that I was talking hella shit, but me and you were standing there. I wasn't even.
You didn't say a word. You just.
And the only reason I gave the thumbs down was like because I told you when I was standing there for the Elkins fight, Daniel Pineda came out, and I did the thumbs down to him, and I literally got in a stare down with Daniel Pineda as he made the walk, like 30 or 40 seconds, just locked eyes, and I was just standing there like, oh yeah, you ready? You ready for this? Because I knew what the storm was coming, but this wasn't even that. I said that I gave a thumbs down to Pineda, and you were like, oh, I can't believe you would do something like that. I can't believe you would do something like I'm like, it's a fucking thumbs down. I'll do it right now. And you're like, dude, don't do it. So I fucking just gave a thumbs down like this and took a picture. I didn't even think he saw me. I saw his team looking right at me, but I didn't even fucking see him. So I didn't even say anything except for as his music started, I go, sweet song, bro. And it turned out to be a sweet song. And then,
it just really slow build up.
And I don't talk shit to the fighters during the fights. I will cheer for a fight. fighter, right? But I'm not sitting here be like, oh, you suck, blah, blah. So I was definitely very actively rooting for Austin Bashi. But I wasn't like going like, oh, like heckling D-Rod.
You didn't say a single negative thing about or to C-Rod. You were just like, come on,
any
Austin,
fighter. I never do.
Austin.
Yeah, I was just sitting there. And then, I think I took a drink with him, just sitting on the couch. All of a sudden, I just make direct eye contact with him. I'm like, and he just goes like this. And
in the middle of the fight.
And I look behind me, and the guys looking behind me were like, no, that was at you, dog. Don't look at us. That was at you. Like, he just flipped you off, and I was like, oh, shit, Jesus.
Yeah, it was a good time. Check out the vlog. It is a cool experience for sure. It's expensive, but it is.
Guys, the loss hurt me more. I promised that. Yeah, it was. Obviously, I was. I had premium bets on her, but that card in general. I know you guys are some of you guys are hurting on that card. Listen, I think I lost $8-9 grand on that card in Vegas and had to fucking limp my way home. So I'm hurting with you, but little rip the Band-Aid off and you move on, and we're ready to dominate now.
Well, check out that vlog. Really cool experience. I was glad I got to go. Jacob basically forced me, which I need that because if people don't force me to do things, I don't leave my house.
We got to go in the back, too. Did you mention that?
It's in the vlog. Yeah, Minty took us backstage. We got to see, like, the production room.
We met RJ. You didn't know who RJ was, probably.
No, why would I have known him?
He's on the weigh-in shows. He's hilarious. He's like that production guy, but he joins the shows and does, like,
I did not know that. Yeah,
I didn't know purple belt, I think. Brown belt?
That was the dude I was talking to, asking about...
the guy with the headset on. He's super
cool. Oh, yeah. Couldn't have been nicer. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
He was a college wrestler, I think, as well.
I mean, I wish I knew these things when I was back there talking to the guy.
I didn't know he was going to be back there. I was like, oh, hey, RJ, what's going on?
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys know who RJ is, he is fucking awesome. He was the coolest guy.
That guy couldn't have been nicer. Basically, a couple of strangers just walked backstage, and he was like, hey, guys, what do you want to see? Get back there. I'll take pictures. Yeah. Like, it was really cool.
While the fights were going on, like, we watched... Yeah. We looked down at the monitor. It was like, oh, somebody got knocked
out. That's how we found out. Yeah,
Oh, Udo's medic just got fucking knocked out. I was like, I saw somebody get knocked out, and my immediate thought was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, he just fucking knocked down Puna. And I looked down at the monitor, like, we're on the desk where they do all the post-shows and everything. Yeah. We're looking at their monitors, taking pictures. I went, oh, no. I was like, oh, God. Jeez.
Yeah, so it was a great experience. You can... check out the vlog and experience some of that through there. This is the thumbnail, and we have a $5 super chat from Aaron Kawalas contributing to Jacob's costume fund. We've talked about this in the past. If Jacob's house ever got raided, or like if he died and he needed to like clean out the stuff in his house, you would think he was John Wayne Gacy with all those costumes and all the props and God knows what else he's got in there and why.
It's a lot of doctors, clowns, witches, inmates, inflatable toys, kids' guitars, a random gi laying on the floor. There's a random headset, or not headset, but headgear. There's random boxing gloves. What else we got here? A bunch of Sean Brady fucking shirts. And
wild scene. And then we have another $5 super chat from Nicholas Barnum. Favorite place to be in a Tuesday night. Let's make some money. One minor setback for a bigger comeback. Jacob, keep your head up, bro. We appreciate every last one of you. Let's go ahead and break down this card. Oh, wait, there's 5 more premium slides. How funny would that be? It'd be pretty typical for me, actually. Opening up the UFC 311 fight card, we have Tagir Ulanbekov taking on young prospect Clayton Carpenter. And if you also have PTSD from young prospects getting smoked, well, I kind of do too. And that might explain why this line continues to widen. You'll see it open at -300 and now Tagir's -310. What you don't see there is there was a dip in the middle. There was a point in time where Tagir was like -170 and then it widened after this weekend. I don't know if it's because that's when people just came to look at the fights and look at the odds and then started to bet, or if literally the Austin Bashi fight with people like, I'm done betting. I am done betting these young UFC guys. By the way, we got Tagir Ulanbekov. He is a dominant come-forward wrestler. He's got decent striking, nothing spectacular. Good jab, and right behind it is a takedown attempt. All 4 of his UFC wins were very grapple-heavy. He has 12 takedowns and 2 submissions. The only real complaint about Tagir is while his offensive wrestling is solid, defensively, he's not as solid. Tim Elliott exposed it a little bit with that forward pressure and just that nonstop pace. He is coming off a canceled fight. He was supposed to fight Josh Van. He limped off the scale after missing weight. He was holding his side, and that fight was just canceled. It was a really bizarre situation. He's taking on young prospect Clayton Carpenter. He's a very slick grappler on his side as well. He'll take wild chances. He will hunt for submissions. He's a fast-paced guy. He rushes forward, immediately sets the tone. He's always hunting for a finish, and even though he's only 8-0 as a professional, he's got a ton of competition experience. He's been traveling the world since he was a little kid, competing in different martial arts, and he's coming off that submission win over Lucas Rocha, where the wrestling and the control were great, but it was clear that his striking was a little bit of work. Rocha. It's a great matchup. This is a good test for both guys. Not that Tagir needs a test at this point in his career, but I told you, I questioned the takedown defense after what Tim Elliott did to him. And we're going to get Clayton Carpenter testing that takedown defense. We're also going to get Clayton Carpenter finding out how good he is or is not. This will be his first established UFC guy that he will be fighting. It is not an easy fight for him. Clayton can definitely have success if he wrestles first. My fear here, and the reason I'm going to pick Tagir, is because I think Clayton Carpenter is too excited, too wild. We saw a little bit of that with Austin Bashi, just too excited to get the takedown, too excited to change positions. Instead of getting the control, keeping it there, working to the next position, it's just all gas. And a guy like Tagir with that experience can sort of weather that storm. Either way, Tagir is going to be the pick. I think these odds are too wide, and I didn't place a bet, but my mouse was hovering over Clayton Carpenter plus 3.5. I'm like, I feel like he can win a round. And then I just got, I have PTSD from Austin Bashi, so I kind of chickened out on that. But what do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I've been a known Tagir Ulanbekov hater to the point where Cody Durden was my lock of the week versus Tagir. So if I'm picking a lock of the week, like I told you, I've said before, not only is it I'm picking for a fighter, but I'm also picking against the fighter. And Tagir was a guy that I was picking against. I thought that Cody could land some power on him. He did land a nice right hand, but also, you know, as you mentioned, Tagir has shown that he can, against a high-pressure wrestler, be taken down, controlled a little bit, but at least thrown off his own offensive game. And I really felt that Cody Durden was going to be able to implement that game plan. And what I found out is Tagir's Ulanbekov's wrestling defense, while you can get to his hips, to a leg or whatever, you can take him down. Off his back, his scrambling abilities and the way that he can sweep and reverse positions is so high level, especially with the length that he has in this division. You get him on the back, and it's not a jiu-jitsu, I'm going to throw up a triangle. He will do that type of stuff, but he's using it to advance the position. And a lot of it is just feet on the hips, the butterflies, all that stuff, elevate you, flip you over. He's just so good at those positions. I think Clayton, with that wrestling style, is just not going to be able to keep up with the pace that Tagir can set in those scrambles. Because even in that Tim Elliott fight, I think Tagir ended the third round with like 4 minutes of control or something like that. So while it was a little bit messy early, he didn't really fade in that fight and actually started picking up as it goes. So, Clayton, for his wrestling, he probably will get a couple takedowns, but as we saw as well, when you shoot on this guy, you better cover your fucking neck or he will snatch that up as well. Clayton's a pretty good boxer, but Tagir's not a guy that really stands in box with you. He keeps range pretty well. So on the feet, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. As you mentioned, if he can get the wrestling going, control, there's a path to victory, but against Tagir, he's just too good in scrambling. So I'm on Tagir, and I feel pretty good about it.
You think Clayton could win a round? You think that plus 3.5 is a decent bet? I was like literally hovering over it.
I think Clayton is aggressive enough and not experienced enough that he's going to eventually get caught in a submission when he is wrestling. Because even saw Cody Durden got caught in like a mounted guillotine. And if his front choke defense, especially his guillotine defense, is so high level, and he took his time and he rolled out of it. But Tagir snatches shit up like fucking that. And if your defense is not on point, you're fucked. And I think he's a tough guy. He's going to keep shooting takedowns. So
I just hate the experience difference. That's ultimately why I chickened out on that. So we'll see what happens. We got a lot of card left to bet on. We have $8,900 in DraftKings Fantasy on the Tagir side. That's a lot of money, but if you think he gets the takedowns, he sets the pace, he's got the control time, potentially gets a finish, and that money is well worth it. I'm actually going to stay away from that as well because I do think Clayton could potentially have some success. Just don't know how much yet. If you want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, the refreshed data analyzer, and every single freaking thing that we do, right now, it's only $10.
So fresh and so clean.
For an entire month, that month includes multiple events, not just this one. It's freaking $10 Download that app too. Cheap. Bastard.
By the way, people are talking about C-Rod. He was outstruck and outcontrolled that first round. So
that was an interesting. Let me go back here so I know how to timestamp this. That was an interesting dynamic in that fight because Jacob and I obviously were watching there live. We don't get to hear any of the commentary. We just see what we see. And that first round felt insanely close. Second round was very clear for Clayton, and the third round was clear for C-Rod. So it felt like that fight was going to come down to the first. Oh, yeah, dude. Sorry. Austin. And it felt like it was going to come down to the first round. I thought Austin probably or could have won that first round. Based off of the comments under my recap video, I am the only person on this planet that thought that. Like, everybody was 1,000% sure.
He literally, by the numbers, had more
stats,
strikes and more control, and he was the one that was moving forward. I know C-Rod had like a couple submission attempts in there and stuff, and that's must have been what they counted it. But yeah, visually, I was like, that's why when C-Rod flipped me off, I was like, dude, because it was the third round. He was winning the third round, but I was like, you lost the first 2 rounds. Like, I was like, why is he flipping me off? So I literally was standing up filming, like, oh, this is going to be great when C-Rod actually loses. And then they were like, for C-Rod, and I went.
You can see in the vlog, both of us are like, what? So obviously, the difference has to be being there live in person and watching on the broadcast. There has to be some sort of gap there because we weren't the only two. In the arena, lots of people felt like, whoa. What do you mean unanimous?
I was extremely biased, but
I mean, I didn't have the same bias as you, but I don't know. It just seems surprising. That could be the difference between broadcast and real life. Next up at UFC 311, we got Ricky Turcios taking on Benardo Sopaj in a rebooked fight. This was supposed to happen at UFC Vegas 100, but it was canceled after weigh-ins because Ricky Turcios had an issue. Ricky Turcios 12-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off that submission loss to Raul Rosas Jr., taking on Benardo Sopaj. 11-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that bad knockout loss in his UFC debut. Ricky Turcios, we know by now, high-paced guy. He's going to come forward, a ton of pressure. He's going to smile, throw anything from anywhere, and he's just not going to stop. Half of his UFC fights, he has landed more than 100 significant strikes, and that includes losses. He doesn't have a lot to offer outside of just high volume and forward pressure, right? He's not the cleanest. There's not a ton of technique. There's no real power there. But there is pressure, and there's enough pressure to break some people. He's coming off that second-round submission loss to Shiwiwi. But he actually looked really good in that first round, and he looked good leading up until that final exchange that just did not go his way. He's taking on Benardo Sopaj. Benardo Sopaj is also pretty fast-paced, high-energy guy, a good striker. He's got power for his size and very good speed. He's also going to constantly move forward. He will stay light on his feet. He'll look for his openings, and then he'll throw combinations. He has takedowns as well. He'll grind forward, drag you to the ground. Great hips if you shoot some takedowns. He is coming off that unfortunate loss to Vinicius Oliveira. And the problem with that loss is he was doing really well in that fight, controlling the striking pace, getting some takedowns. And the way he ate that knee against the cage and the way he got put out is like career-altering knockout level. Like, it was bad. He's a young guy. He's been out for about 7 months. This is against a guy that's not as dangerous. So I don't think maybe he's coming back too soon or any of that, because ultimately, I don't think he's going to take a ton of damage in this fight. I do think Benardo Sopaj is probably the better fighter, right? We've seen good striking from him. We've seen good takedowns from him. The pace and the pressure from Ricky could be an issue, but I'm going to pick Benardo Sopaj. But the same thing I said in the Quick Picks video, minus 360 is crazy. He was minus 400 the other day, so it's starting to come back a little. Dude, that's way too wide. Ricky has proven that he can win fights at this level. He's a guy that you're not just going to get out of there. He's not going to quit. Benardo Sopaj is the better fighter here, but coming off that loss, looking for his first UFC win against a guy that's just going to be charging at him full speed for 15 full minutes, no shot I spend minus 360 on Benardo Sopaj. What do you think, Jakey Boombalot?
Yeah, Benardo Sopaj was, on his way to being one of the better lock of the weeks of 2024. I know all about Bernardo Sopaj. I know him from top to bottom, so there is nobody more biased in this breakdown because I had him as my lock of the week versus Vinicius. I felt so good about it. I felt like he was dominating that fight, and then the kid couldn't really survive that third round and got put up bad, and it was definitely a heartbreaking loss. But then, walking into this fight, I saw the odds, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? Because I know Sopaj can wrestle, and he's a good dynamic striker as well with really good power. And Ricky's not a dangerous guy, like you mentioned. You worry about Sopaj's chin, but against Ricky, it really, in theory, shouldn't really matter. So I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And I rewatched that Sopaj and Vinicius tape, and it wasn't as dominant as I remember. I mean, he got that takedown in the first round. He obviously got the takedown, and that was really where he started to take over in that second round. He was kind of riding Vinicius. But anytime Vinicius really on his back, scrambled, elevated, do anything like that, he was pretty easy to get up on Sopaj. And Sopaj, his defensive, wrestling and grappling really kind of let him down. I know it was like short notice and he was tired and all this, but I mean, the first and second round of that fight weren't really that high paced. The first round, nothing really happened until kind of a late takedown, and then the second round, he was kind of riding Vinicius, but there's some question marks there. I mean, people want to kind of chalk that up to short notice, but not a lot was really happening in that fight anyway. So you have Sopaj that's going to come in and probably use the wrestling, maybe just strikes or whatever. For whatever reason, Ricky seems to get up for fights against wrestlers. I think he really enjoys wrestling and grappling and scrambling against people, because you watch that fight against Brady Heistand, he's taken down 6 times, right? He finds a way to win that fight. He's constantly working, constantly scrambling, was using the striking. Oh, you take me down, I'm working. And then he fights an Ayman Zahabi who isn't wrestling him, and he was kind of frozen in there. Come back to Kevin Natividad, takes him down 7 times. Guess who ended up winning that fight? Ricky Turcios, because he's just constantly moving and doing and all this stuff, right? Then he fights Raul Rosas Jr., and you saw, if Raul Rosas Jr. has a normal chin, he gets choked out in the first round because Ricky got on the ground. He out-scrambled. Ricky is a pretty high-level black belt. He worked a long time with Alex Morono, who was in his corner. Now I think he's at Team Alpha Male, which I think should kind of clean up his defensive wrestling and stuff like that. So Bernardo Sopaj isn't putting this guy out with the hands early in the fight, and he's trying to wrestle Ricky Turcios. Ricky Turcios is really good at fucking just staying alive on the ground, making you work. And Vinicius wasn't even really making Bernardo work that hard, and Bernardo fucking death gas. Ricky is going to make him work harder than he's ever worked in his life on the ground. I promise you that. I think Ricky makes him work, starts winning scrambles, and wins this fight. I'm going against my lock of the week. I don't think Bernardo's control is as good as people are going to think it is. Definitely has the striking advantage, but Ricky's got some offensive wrestling as well. So if he starts just kind of forcing those engagements, what do we say all the time? Sometimes you got to wrestle the wrestler. Ricky could come in and do that, wear this kid down, and I'm taking him on a little bit of a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Bernardo here, but, picks are not bets. They are not the same thing, and this definitely a situation
people have it in their head that Ricky is like just fucking terrible, which is...
No, he's not.
That's all I see all week is, Bernardo, dude, Ricky is fucking terrible. It's like, dude, he basically, Raul had literally a normal chin. He fucking smokes Raul. Yeah. So if he ends up choking out Raul and then they match this fight up, what are the odds?
Yeah. No, listen, and just pace alone. We have seen time and time again in the UFC, even at this level, just a really good pace
with Khamzat, LMAO, L-Take. Yeah, he trained with
so
Khamzat before the fucking Vinicius fight.
So did Darren Till. There's a lot of people that trained with Khamzat. Like, how fucking smart.
He got taken down and dominated against Vinicius. He had been training with Khamzat before that.
Yeah. No, the Khamzat thing's funny. Dude, there was a point in time where everybody trained with Khamzat.
Yeah, Jimmy was like touring the world, training with everybody. Like, he's training with Jimmy. Dude, they don't like roll together. He's half his size.
And his literal best friend sucked at fighting after training with him and living with him for like a year.
Darren Till is a beast now. Have you seen a picture of him lately?
He put down the booze and got on the sauce?
He's fucking jacked up.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. Stopped drinking after his DUI and then started juicing. There you go.
Ricky, the guy that makes the weird noises? He does a lot of weird shit. He's a weird dude.
Look at the picture. I mean, just look at this picture. It tells you everything you know about his personality.
5 in the morning.
Listen, he's 69.
I'm having phone sex with you. So
if you're going to
sing
songs from 311.
No, I'm on a hotline.
What is,
you don't even
what is
get
happening?
it, dumb bitch.
I don't get it. Oh, Pretty Ricky. Oh, how clever. What's a 311 song? Is that Superman? Down in and close my eyes. Now, Superman. Is that a 311 song? No.
What is 311? Is that a band?
Dude, you don't know who 311 is? Come on, don't pull shit. Just shut the fuck, dude. You don't know 311?
Really band? I mean, maybe
yeah, and they're like a great band.
90 bands or something.
No, here, I'm going to... Okay, I mean, what an absolute joke. Dude, 311's a good band, too. Down. I can't play these songs, so I don't know what's allowed on the internet, what isn't. You know, I mean, 311's a big deal. Yeah, Down.
311 Down. I'll listen to it right now. Let me see.
You can sing it for us, for the boys. We can't let it on the. I don't know if this is like copyright. We're not gonna get this whole video taken down.
I've never heard that song in my life.
311's good, man. Oh yeah, Three Doors Down was Superman. Anyway, I need you by my side because I'm $6,900 in DraftKings.
Human kryptonite.
Yeah, that is a great song. $6,900 for Ricky Turcios. Listen, I don't necessarily think he wins, but if I'm building multiple DraftKings lineup, I'm going to need some exposure to Ricky, who can set a pace, come forward, probably put up a couple of numbers, sub $7,000 against a guy who has never won a fight in the UFC, and the only fight he had in the UFC didn't quite end in spectacular fashion. You got to shoot your shot. You can unlock all the picks.
Turcios by sub. What is that? Hold on. You want a little flyer bet here? Plus 1,400 Turcios by sub. Turcios by second or third round sub is plus 4,000. Can't wait to clip this out later.
Anyway, well, this is like when Bet Sam said, bet on that chick to Gabriela Fernandez to submit Kong Wang. And that's exactly what happened. Either way, all the picks, the bets, the tools, not from just me and Jakey Boy, but we got Artem. We got an artificial intelligence, Bet Sam, tools that you could use not just for this event, but future events as well. It's freaking $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top.
In my quick pick video last week, people were like, wow, what a clown. He picked 4 underdogs in a row or something like that. And 3 underdogs in a row, 1 in a row. Fucking Saturday. It's funny how that works out.
A lot of dogs were live Saturday. Dude, it's funny because if you run through a card and you pick mostly favorites, everybody's going to say, what a loser is picking all favorites. If you run through a card, you pick mostly dogs, like what a loser you're chasing. There's no theme. You're just looking at each individual fight and picking from there. $1.99 super chat from Benzo, 1985. Christian Stuan Rodriguez, the wrestler killer. What's Stuan? I don't know what that is, but
his middle name. I don't know.
He's more than a wrestler killer because he smoked Cameron Saman. He literally is the prospect. I did a whole rant when I broke down that card 3 weeks ago, saying that they need a belt. I'm
so sick of
prospect
the prospect killer. He fucking lost to Isaac.
I agree with you.
He got fucking smoked.
I agree he lost to Isaac, but that's just not how it went down, is it? Unfortunately. I agree. I thought that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my life.
4 minutes and 9 seconds of control in the second round. Christian only landed 4 more significant strikes in the round. My God. You know what's crazy, too? Is the Amanda fight. That was pretty clear in my mind. It was Mackenzie won the first round. She got the takedown. Amanda won the second round because she had the control. And then Amanda was winning the third round, obviously, and then she got
swept. Yeah. Well, swept. Yeah.
Mike Bell had Amanda winning the first round and Mackenzie winning the second round.
That's ass backwards. It wasn't even close. Yeah,
I know.
Theirs weren't even subjective rounds. So that was very clear what happened.
Because not like Amanda was like crazy active on the bottom, and then Mackenzie really wasn't crazy active when she was on the bottom in the second round either.
And the first and second round were the same thing but reversed.
Yeah, I saw the scorecard and I was like, what?
Yeah, that's funny. Well, that's like there's chapters, all right? Don't complain. That's like when Chris Curtis got knocked out by Roman Kopylov with 1 second left. We were like, oh my God. It felt like Chris Curtis could have won the first and second round. And it's like 1 second left. He would have won this fight if the ref just let it alone. Just leave it. It's 1 second. But then we got the scorecards, and that's not what happened. He was going to lose that fight no matter what, which I would have disagreed with. Felt like Chris won the first and the second. But
by the way, we met some cool people at the Apex well. So if you guys are watching, we appreciate you coming up and saying hello.
I owe a couple people premium for life. There was a few people that came up and they're like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of the show," and I was like, "What's your email? I'll convert your premium."
How about the guys next to us, and then you as well? When
I do.
Bruno or whoever was fighting, and I'm just like I said, I don't root against people. I was just like rooting for Magomed. Like, come on, Magomed, like get off the fence and stuff like that. And those guys turned to you, and you turned to me, and you're like, "Hey, his daughter's right there." I'm like, I don't give a fuck if his fucking daughter's right there. You're at a fucking fight. You want me to be quiet because the fucking kids are there? People have their kids at the fights all the time. People bring their fucking kids to the arena.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you, blah, blah. It's like, I'm not sitting there being like, your dad fucking sucks. I hope he fucking, I'm just like, come on, Magomed. And you all looked at me and were like, his daughter is right there.
No,
I don't give a flying
you had some,
fuck.
your dad sucks. You had some, your dad sucks.
I don't give a flying fuck who's there. I'm very respectful during the fights.
Sounds like it. Next up, at UFC Vegas, at UFC 311, we got Rinya Nakamura taking on Muin Gafurov. This will be a grappler's delight on the Rinya side. He is an undefeated guy, 9-0 in his career, but with 6 stoppages, taking on Muin Gafurov, 19-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off his first UFC win. Rinya Nakamura, as I mentioned, grappler's delight. This guy's a fantastic wrestler. He's been wrestling at a very high level long before he transitioned to MMA. He has incredible wrestling credentials and also very good grappling skills. When I say grappling, I'm talking about jiu-jitsu. When I say wrestling, I'm talking about wrestling. But he's not a desperate grappler. He's got really good power. He lets the power fly. His striking can be wild, but he doesn't care if you take him down. So he will overcommit to overhands. He will plant his feet and let him go. Because if you want to shoot, great. I'm a world-level wrestler. You're not going to be able to take me down. He is the real deal. He has 9 wins with 6 stoppages, a combination of high-level wrestling match with really good power and good jiu-jitsu. He can be a problem for a lot of people in this division. He's coming out with that pretty straightforward win over Carlos Vera. The other side of that cage is going to be Muin Gafurov. He's supposed to be a wrestler as well. He will also plant his feet, trade punch for punch with pretty much anybody. Incredibly exciting guy, very high-paced guy as well. He's got solid skills. He has power in his hands, good wrestling, solid speed, solid cardio, but he does get sucked into brawls. He'll lose complete control of situations because he will just bite down and start swinging. He's coming off that first UFC win after a surprisingly tough UFC slate for a newcomer. He beat Kyung Ho Kang, but the caveat there is he was taken down a couple of times. And if Kyung Ho Kang is taking you down several times in a fight, 3 to be exact, then Rinya Nakamura is going to do the exact same thing. Rinya's got power. Rinya's got takedowns. Rinya's not old. Rinya Nakamura should absolutely win this fight. It's pretty clear that he should win this fight. The odds sort of moved a bit. Rinya Nakamura was minus 400 on Sunday. Now he's up to minus 510 because I think people are looking at this card and they're like, yeah, this is going to be pretty straightforward. So, was that for this?
Hey, Minty.
Hey, Minty. Hey, Minty, thanks for taking us backstage.
Yeah, we already talked about it, Minty. We talked about how much of an asshole RJ was.
All right, Jacob, who do you think wins this fight?
Listen, this card is some of the lock of the week graveyard on it. Muin pretty hearty laugh there.
I mean, sure. I'm going to start doing another failed lock of the week. But go ahead. I won't do that to you. Still a little sensitive.
Remember when you got me a cake? What was that for? Jordan sent me a picture of that as it was like one of his memories or something. You got me like cake and balloons because my lock of the week lost or something like that. What?
No, not because it's something lost. I don't remember. It was actually Tiff's idea. I don't remember what it was.
I thought it was like a lock of the week loss. You literally got me a cake and balloon, like sorry for your loss or something like that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't remember.
It could have been. It
was Tiff's idea.
Amanda one or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. So Muin is, I'm a little bit biased again. I'm always transparent when I'm biased, which is actually 100% true. I am always transparent when I'm biased, but Muin is my. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
That said, if me and Minty were to have a baby, it would look like Rinya.
He's got the red hair going. That's what made it funny. All right, continue. I'm sorry.
Who said that?
Chin Check MMA said that.
Meant he said gross.
Just take it else. Can you just break down this fight?
Yeah, so anyway, I was really high on Muin. Tajikistan stand up. Going into his UFC career, he was my lock of the week versus John Castaneda because, I said, I know Sexy Mexi can wrestle. I know he can grapple. But this is my Tajiki king, and he's going to come in, and he's going to out-wrestle, and he's going to outwork John Sexy Mexi Castaneda, and that is why he is my lock of the week. And then it didn't really happen. You kind of saw the defensive wrestling lapses that Muin has. And yeah, he is tenacious and he's never really going to stop. And obviously that Saeed fight was like the most predictable thing in the world. We were all like, don't shoot a takedown because you're going to get guillotined. And then he shot a takedown and got guillotined. Started to work his way back in the last fight, right? That was a nice grindy win for him. But, when you see the defensive lapses against a guy so high level in Rinya, and Rinya in his last fight, that pace that he was able to keep and set for the entire fight, that's Carlos Vera is a very dangerous guy off his back, and he was really making Rinya work with that control with all the scrambles, reach for the heel hooks. That's one of Ryan Hall's, best buds. So he was doing a whole bunch of shit, making him work. That was a high level fight, and Rinya was still there on top of him for all 3 rounds. Rinya has not lost a round in his career. He's got a lot of finishes, the decisions, he's been steamrolling people. And I just think that the pace that he can already prove that he can keep and the takedowns mixed with the defensive lapses in Muin. And Rinya's really, he hits fucking hard and fast with the feet as well. So as long as he doesn't do, it was the Korean Tiger, right? That was a big favorite, and we were all high on him. And then he came in and just dropped his hands and just started slugging and got knocked out. Remember when that happened? We were like, why would you do that? Like, what are you doing? Like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, he got hit once. It was just like, as long as Rinya didn't come in and act like a fucking asshole, which no child of mine would ever do, right? He should be able to, kind of control Muin for 3 rounds. So I like him to win. Maybe not get a finish because, Muin is toughness. I'm not going to doubt his toughness, but, he should just kind of ride this guy for 15 minutes.
At the very least, he has that as a backup plan. Yeah, if things are not going well, boom, wrestling will get it done. I forgot to put the DraftKings pricing on this one, but Rinya is not cheap. I do think he'll be worth that money, though. To Jacob's point, he's never lost a single round yet. He doesn't have a ton of UFC fights, but he has not lost a round under the UFC umbrella. He's got that fantastic high-level, world-level wrestling, and he's got power in his hands. So this could end up being a dogfight, and Rinya should be smart enough to say, I'm just going to wrestle. Or, all right, let me plant my feet, and I'll throw bombs. Either way, Rinya should be able to get this done. He's getting a little more expensive, but this card feels like that. There are a couple of dogs on this card that I like, but the favorites that I like are the same favorites that most people like, which is why we have some juice here. So we got to find our spots with some prop bets.
I found some value on Rinya. I'm actually going to check it right now to see because it moved a little bit. Let's see what it is now. Yeah, so not too bad. I found what I believe is some value on Rinya. So
there you go. And it's in the prop bets. If you want to check out all the prop bets we got going on, all the parlays, all the tools, the picks, and everything else, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, it's only freaking $10 for an entire month's worth of access. I have to pee. After I do my breakdown, I'm going to go pee real quick. Next up, at UFC 311, we got Carol Rosa taking on Ailin Perez. Carol Rosa, 18-6 in her career. She is 3-2 in her last 5, alternating wins and losses. Taking on Ailin Perez, 11-2 in her career, 4-1 in her last 5. She is riding a 4-fight win streak. Carol Rosa is a very accomplished fighter. She's been around for quite some time. Busy striker, landing almost 6 significant strikes per minute. She is willing to trade. Decision fighter for the most part, solid takedown defense, solid takedown offense. She has 12 takedowns in 10 UFC fights, and the takedown defense is sitting steadily at 68%. Doesn't really have a ton of power, but she's got plenty of cardio and good pressure. She is coming off that win over Pani Khanzad, where she destroyed her legs early and just flat out beat her up. Now Pani's in the GFL or whatever the hell that promotion is. She's taking on Ailin Perez. You may know her for all your filthy individual reasons, but I know her as a dominant, come-forward, heavy pressure wrestler. She's a well-rounded fighter overall, but for the most part, at this point in her career, she is a forward pressure wrestler. Mostly a grappler. She can strike, and when she does, she's got a good long jab that she'll use to plot forward and then back you up. She uses her size, her strength to bully people to the ground. She's got some trips and drags. Once she hits the ground, pretty aggressive working from there. She's coming off that first UFC finish of hers over Daria, where she missed weight, was shaking. It was a whole thing. Everybody's talking about, oh my God, she looked bad. She looked bad. Angelo, she looked so bad. But then she said on the microphone after the fight, it was all an act. And I was surprised. Imagine my surprise a few weeks ago when I saw that Karol Rosa was the minus 162 favorite. You know, big hands favors wrestlers. And then when I looked at this fight again last week, it was even wider odds. And now we've got minus 260, almost a 3-1 Karol Rosa. And that is absolutely shocking to me. I don't understand this line movement. I think Karol should be the favorite. I think she's the better actual fighter. She's certainly accomplished more things or beaten the better slate of people so far. But she should not be a 3-1 favorite. The only actual wrestler she fought was Sarah McMahon, who took her down 4 times. And yeah, that's an extreme because she's an Olympian. But the reality is Ailin Perez is going to come forward, have cardio for days, and just shoot takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown. And I think she can get them. I think Ailin Perez wins this fight. I bet on her, and you can get even better odds on her now. And then I see this comment, plus 3.5, lock. Yeah, the problem is they know that. So you have Ailin Perez as a 2.5-1 underdog. And if you want to bet plus 3.5, which means just win a single round, minus 300. So they know that this is a razor-thin fight. That's why I don't understand why these odds are so wide, but people bet on it. The computer adjusts the odds, and that's just how this goes. Ailin Perez is going to be the pick here. She's picking the dog. What do you think, Jakey Bombalotes?
I think you're going to go pee.
Nah, I'm holding it in.
First of all, I know that people are obsessed with Ailin Perez and all this stuff, and you know, there's this video and that video, and there's I've been told about these other ones and stuff like this. And let me just first off saying, and people aren't going to agree with me, that Karol Rosa is a much more beautiful girl than Ailin Perez. I think Karol Rosa is one of the more beautiful girls in the division in the UFC. It definitely a power couple, one of the biggest power couples. If you didn't know, her girlfriend or wife, whatever, is Denise Gomes. So I think they're going to take over the world. This is an unbiased pick, and I'm telling you this right now. Okay, I'm telling you in front of Angelo, in front of God and everybody. Ailin Perez is not good. Okay, not good. I promise you, she has the most Mickey Mouse resume and record that I have ever seen in the UFC. She comes in, UFC debut, fights a decent Stephanie, gets fucking smoked, right? So they're like, oh my God, this girl's got a big ass and she twerks. We got to get her a win. Let's give her Ashley fucking Evans Smith, who hasn't fought in 3 fucking years and shouldn't even be a fighter in general, let alone the UFC. Ailin Perez goes to a decision with her, right? Okay, let's get her a finish, right? Let's get her Lucy Pudilova, who's 3-8 in the fucking UFC. Let's give her that girl. Maybe we can get a finish out of Ailin Perez or all this fucking 2 for 8 takedowns on Lucy Pudilova. Was controlled, 3 or 4 minutes by Lucy Pudilova. 3-8 in the UFC. Squeaks out a decision win. Oh my God. Let's give her Jocelyn and maybe let's fraud check her a little bit. She takes down Jocelyn. She wins that fight, was reversed 4 times, almost submitted, right? And they're like, oh God, she almost lost that fight. We got to give her somebody else. Give her fucking Daria, who doesn't belong in the fucking UFC, isn't even that caliber. What does Daria do? Takes her fucking down, right? And then Ailin's able to win a little scrambler too. Karol Rosa has been taken down by one person, Sarah McMahon, who's, as Andrew mentioned, an actual wrestler. Not these fucking bullshit body lock and just kind of fall on somebody. And then when I fall on somebody, I don't have great control and they're going to get away. Or maybe I'm in full mount against some fucking bum. I don't even know how to ground strike properly, right? Just too interested in putting on a show. Watch that Norma DeMott fight with Karol Rosa. Norma DeMott tried for 15 fucking minutes to body lock take down Karol Rosa. Finally finally did in the third round. Carol was on her knees and back up within 1.5 seconds and knocked down Norma Dumont in the third round for her fucking troubles. Oh, she was also taken down by Jocelyn. 2 fucking seconds, and then she reversed that position. Carol ballooned up to minus 300. She should be minus fucking 500. I can't wait until Ailin doesn't get those first 2 takedowns and then is like looking around like, what do I do now? She's just getting fucking beat the fuck up, gassed, more desperate for the takedowns. Is going to get finished in the second or third fucking round. She's fucking terrible.
I disagree with half of that. I agree in that I said very clearly in my Quick Picks video, Carol Rosa is the better fighter. I said it in this video. She's the better all-around fighter, but sometimes
she beat Norma Dumont. I mean, she didn't, but I thought she won that fight. Norma Dumont would fucking absolutely destroy Ailin Perez.
Listen, Norma Dumont, I like Norma Dumont as a fighter.
Norma.
We did see Norma.
We saw Norma. We saw Norma at the fight. We saw her. We saw it. We saw her.
It is crazy. It was crazy. It's
guys, I can't even describe the difference. Usually you see what you think you're going to see, and then that was real life, man. That was real life, and we saw it.
It's crazy because they talk about Norma's backside on the broadcast. Like, you'll even hear, what's her name, call it a dump truck. Yeah, Sanko will say, oh, she's got a dump truck. Dude, it's 5 times bigger than you would ever imagine.
First of all, this is what's funny. This is early on when I'm filming, which is just funny. Because I don't want to post the pictures and then post this one. You're going to be like, oh, she was like, oh, where's this picture?
She looked right at you. She's like, creep.
Right, but she looked at me, and then she was posing a little bit. I can't even find the fucking picture. There's the picture of C-Rod flipped me off, but anyway, she did like, because I said like, hey, Norma, and then so here's one of them.
Yeah, it's just sticking so much farther out than anything else. Look at that.
I mean, it's just like, and this is like with all due respect as well. I understand that she is a married woman as well. This is with.
I thought you said they were just dating.
I don't know. With all due respect here, we want to congratulate. I have her as my sleeper pick to win the belt this year, and I just couldn't. I mean, that was
right, back to this.
I didn't even need it. I didn't even realize I was taking pictures. It literally was just like. And all of a sudden, like...
Your hands started to... Yeah. Literally, back to this fight, I said Carol Rosa is the better fighter. And then you said, oh, Norma Dumont took her... The problem with Norma, and using that as an example, Norma keeps fights closer than they should be. Other than even in that fight with, what's her name, the kickboxer, that was closer than it needed to be, and she turned into a Nurmagomedov. She keeps fights closer than they need to be. I think Ailin Perez can have some success here. Potentially enough success.
What a slip there, huh?
Potentially enough success to actually win this fight, so I bet a small amount on her as a dog. She's an even bigger dog now. Yes, the plus 3.5 bet is a lock because all she has to do is win 1 round, and I think she can absolutely do that.
It is a lock. I can't wait to revisit this one too.
The problem is those odds are just absolutely crazy.
Remember when the plus 3.5 was a lock with fucking Dudakova, and I sat here and told you how fucking
I didn't say that was a
Dudakova
lock.
Was?
I did not say it was a lock. That's why I only put 25
Didn't I
bucks
sit here and tell you that she was fucking terrible?
And saying Dudakova looked good early, got takedowns.
She landed 3 total significant strikes, was reversed every time she got some bullshit takedown, and was finished in the second round. That's not a good performance.
She got takedowns, looked good doing it. That was the point I made. Ailin Perez is Angelo's pick, and then DraftKings Fantasy at $7,600. If you think she can get some takedowns, have some success, that's $7,600.
If you guys are interested in the vlog, this isn't some weird picture that I was in his room. I don't know what was the thought process.
I was just getting ready for the day, man. Just getting ready. There you go.
Still here, Minty? Can we get a grade on this?
WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. It's freaking $10 for an entire month. You'll have access to every single pick, bet, tool, and everything else that we do. Next up, at UFC 311, we got Grant Dawson taking on Diego Ferreira. This is going to be an interesting fight to break down because while I'm not a huge fan of Grant Dawson's fighting style, I fully respect his ability and how he gets things done. He is 22-2 in his career. He has 4-1 in his last 5. He is, looking right at you, taking a picture of her badonk.
But that's what I'm saying. This was before she saw me, and then the pictures were after that, because this guy's walking past her right now, and in the picture, that guy had already walked past.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So she was like, oh, your camera's out. Boom, I got something for you. I think it was a setup there.
It was a setup. Here, I got to pee so bad. You break down this fight, I'll be right back.
All right, guys. So here's the deal about Norma Damon. I don't know if did he do the intro on this. This fight is Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. I hate going first, because usually I just listen to him and be like, well, this guy's fucking stupid, and then I'm like, well, what can I say to fucking make him look like an idiot? But now I just got to do it myself. Listen, Grant Dawson at this point should win this fight, right? This, in theory, should look just like probably like the Joe Solecki fight, where he gets the takedowns, he gets the control, and yeah, Diego can do stuff on his back, and maybe he's active, and maybe he's able to land an elbow or something like that, but Grant Dawson should have the control and the cardio to be able to do what he did to Joe Solecki to Diego Ferreira for 15 minutes. But Diego Ferreira is a little bit more, I would say, live and game on the feet, and a little bit more, less jiu-jitsu and holding off his back, and a little bit more like he will throw the elbows, he will get aggressive with the striking from the bottom, which I think will wear down Grant Dawson a little bit more. Joe Solecki and a few other people that have fought Grant Dawson, there's a lot of just kind of stalling, making sure that Grant can't advance positions. I think Diego's going to take a little bit more chances on the feet and on the ground, and against a guy like Grant Dawson, who has, in my opinion, made 0 striking advances in his career. 0. He is still just, his whole game plan is just to be reckless as fucking hell, to try to get into a clinch or get to a takedown position and then take you down. But he will engage in this reckless style. You saw, was his last fight or 2 fights ago, when he started with just a running across flying knee, whatever that bullshit is. He constantly will back people up against the fence, drop his hands, and just do some wild, head on the center line striking. So for everybody that wants to parlay Grant Dawson, that everybody wants to bet Grant Dawson, you're seeing the minus 260, all this bullshit, I get it. It should look like the Joe Solecki fight. He should get the takedowns, and if he gets the takedowns, he is more than capable of controlling a guy like Diego Ferreira, who's now, 39 years old, whatever it is. But I can't trust Grant Dawson, because he is just so reckless on the feet, and for whatever reason, he will still engage a little bit on the feet without shooting a takedown. If he was like an all-in wrestler, almost like Isaac Bulgarian, right? I know Isaac Bulgarian, he says that he wants to work on his striking and stuff like that. I know he's going to fucking shoot a takedown. I know he's going to shoot a takedown. Like, he's not going to fuck around. He's going to fucking shoot a takedown. If I knew that was Grant Dawson in a fight like this, I'm all over Grant Dawson. But the way that he just kind of recklessly comes forward in the striking, will hang out in the striking probably like 3 to 5 seconds too long before he shoots. And you've seen his chin, right? He didn't just get dropped and put out by Bobby Green. He got sat down by fucking Mark Madsen. That was the first red flag of the whole situation. So while I'm picking Grant Dawson, he should win this fight, I can't fucking trust this guy. He's way too reckless on the feet. And I would not be surprised at all if he fucks this up.
Yeah, listen, I get what you're saying. You can hear me, right? Sometimes when I swap my headphones, it gets weird.
Are you going to say something?
Are you serious?
Oh my God! Did he really? Are you saying say something so I can?
Here we go. Good.
I can't hear a thing.
Motherfucking joke. Hold on.
All right. Well, like I was saying, I mean, the first red flag was that Mark Madsen fight. If you watch that fight, it was just like a short shot, just like that Bobby shot. Wasn't anything crazy. It was just like a short. It was just a short shot. And it put him down, and then he was able to kind of scramble off a takedown after that. So, and that Diego, I mean, you saw Diego against Michael Johnson. I mean, that was a terrifying knockout. Speaking of, too, the knockout with, Cesar Almeida, dude, for a while, guys, it was like, oh, fun and celebrating. Like, oh, Cesar's winning this fight. Like, I was like literally celebrating with Cesar. But then I looked and you see, what's his name? Just sitting there, I mean, he was fucking motionless for a good fucking 3 to 5. It started getting a little bit scary. So I don't know if have you fixed your situation?
I'm trying to. Is it working?
Oh, God. So yeah. So I don't know if you guys have any Apex questions or the Grant Dawson. If you can hear me, I don't know if you can, if you want to just move on and then you can do your.
Can you hear me?
Background afterwards or anything like that. But
can you hear me?
I don't know what you want me to do.
Can you hear me? No.
Text me.
Fuck.
Try it again. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
Okay. Hold on. Close this. Okay. We're good?
Yep.
Okay. Bang. Here we go. Jesus. What's crazy is all I did was take out some freaking AirPods and it screws everything up. What a joke.
What'd you do to fix it?
I joined again from another browser.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so like taking out AirPods should not freaking do that. And if I don't take whatever. Anyway, here we go. Listen, so you picked Diego Ferreira or you picked Grant Dawson?
No, I said no. My whole breakdown is this literally should look like the Joe Selecki fight. Takedowns, control. You know, he's good enough, but you know, Diego's will make him work a little bit, especially like in the striking and stuff. But I mean, Grant Dawson.
They said you could hear me the whole time.
They could.
You just, I mean, God, dude. What the fuck? You know what's annoying? I figured that was the case because when I joined.
Again.
Nice
Hello?
try. I figured that was the case because when I joined from another browser, I heard myself. And I'm like, wait, how could I hear myself if I'm a fucking asshole? All right, well,
dude,
listen.
They're fucking chat does that. They're literally lying. I could not hear you.
All right, well, I am also
they're like pitting us against each other right now.
I am also going to pick Grant Dawson here. The difference, though, is I've got a little more faith in him because what he does well is not give a shit if you are entertained or not. He does that really well.
He started the last fight with a fucking flying kick across the octagon. He's fucking reckless as fuck.
And that is a bit
concerning. Look at this shit that he does against the fence.
It's a bit concerning that he had
a
a little
blind
success
flying knee, not protecting his chin at all. And if Joe Selecki's left arm was 2 inches longer, he would have got fucking flatlined. This is the stuff that Grant Dawson does before he shoots a takedown. It's nonsense.
But you can trust him to shoot takedowns. And ultimately, that's why I'm going to go with him here. Diego Ferreira can be taken down. Grant Dawson, very good wrestler, very good grappler. His control is incredible. Jacob's talking about how he's reckless on his feet. He's not reckless on the ground. He'll get the takedowns, and he will just chill. That Joe Selecki fight was 15 minutes long. He had more than 14 minutes of control time. Think about that. And that willingness to just be unbelievably boring is why I think he will win this fight. Diego Ferreira is great at BJJ. It's not going to be good enough. The jiu-jitsu is not going to be good enough. It will have to be Diego Ferreira on the feet. That's the only way he can make something happen.
And we have to remember that he fought Damir Ismagulov. Speaking of, no, I can't. Was Damir my?
He was your lock of the another failed lock of the week. Okay, no, we're not playing this game where you're pretending shit. I can see you moving. You're not very good at being still. Listen, Grant Dawson is going to be the pick. As time has gone on, I've gotten more and more confident. This is not the first time I've broken down this fight. And if you go back and watch the last time I broke down the fight, I was like, he should win. It's a little tricky because Diego's got dog in him and Grant doesn't have dog in him. While that sentiment remains true, I still think Grant is going to get it done. I'm just trusting the fact that he will shoot and lay, shoot and lay, shoot and lay, and do that whole thing. So I am picking Grant Dawson. Jacob did as well. I'm just a little more confident in him because I trust his game plan. He is $9,000 in DraftKings Fantasy. I'm going to take a look at what he scored in the Joe Selecki fight, and whatever he scored there, if it's more than 900 or 90 points, then I think that $9,000 will be worth it. If he didn't score that many points, and it wasn't nearly as dominant, at least on the scoring perspective, as it was in the cage, then maybe I'll fade him here. But I think Grant Dawson gets it done. And I think if he has a little bit of trouble on the feet, he will just stick very, very heavily with the wrestling game plan. And if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, WeWantPicks.com, click become a member. It's freaking $10. $10 for an entire month. That's going to include this card, the Saudi Arabia card, whatever the hard card is after the Saudi Arabia card. $10. All the picks, the bets, the tools, artificial intelligence, every single thing that we do at WeWantPicks.com. Next up, at UFC 311, we have a new matchup. Zach Reese has a brand new opponent. And while all of us are very disappointed because Zach Reese was free money in his last matchup, we do have an interesting go at it here. We got Zach Reese taking on Azamat Bekoev. Zach Reese 8-1 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off a wrestle-heavy win over Jose Medina. He's taking on Azamat Bekoev, 18-3 in his career, 5-0 in his last 5, and he is making his short notice UFC debut. Zach Reese, a really big guy for this weight class, and it's going to be interesting because Azamat's not big for this weight class, but Zach Reese is 6'4". He uses that size. He uses that strength. He's very tightly wound on the feet. When he lets go, it is full-blown power. The term I've been using is uncorking. He can wrestle as well. It's not great, and he doesn't always use it, but it is there. He does use that length. He'll wrap you up, drag you to the ground. When he gets on the ground, he's got very good jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it's too good, and he'll play that jiu-jitsu game off of his back. He is coming off a decision win over Jose Medina, where he landed with power and went all in on the wrestling. He's taking on Azamat Bekoev, UFC newcomer, stepping up on short notice, but he is a very well-rounded guy, and I do believe this shot is well-deserved. He has powerful strikes, solid takedown defense, solid takedown offense, and solid BJJ. He's good pretty much everywhere. The technique is not the cleanest, and he isn't particularly fast, but he's very powerful, and he uses that power well. His takedowns are big, heavy. He will straight up pick you up. Many of them are slams. He's got big, heavy strikes with huge right hands. He's a pretty small guy for this weight class, but he does close distance well. He pushes forward, and he has plenty of cardio. I do hate that SD Dumas dropped because Zach Reese was like, there's no locks in this sport, and Zach Reese is as close as you're going to get. SD Dumas was too focused on trying to fight some rapper and starting some beef than he was on fighting an actual professional MMA fighter. SD is terrible. Zach would have run through him, and now Zach has a very different matchup. Now Zach's going to be defending takedowns. Now Zach needs to worry about what's coming his way and not just what he's going to do offensively. As long as short notice doesn't screw anything up, I think Bekoev's the better fighter. I like the takedowns. I like the power in his hands. I still have some PTSD with Magomed Gaziasulov last week and that bullshit cardio. But I do think Azamat's going to get it done, and I like him here. And these odds are already starting to move. He was minus 185 about 4 or 5 hours ago, and I think he's minus 250 now. Maybe it's rebounded a bit, but those odds went wild. They literally were just released in the last couple of hours.
He's minus 250. He's minus 250 on Zachary Prochazka.
Okay, who do you think wins this fight?
Yeah, I've been a Zach Reese hater. There's no doubt about that, right? And I sat here whenever that was, and I warned Angelo. He had Zach Reese in what we would call a safety parlay, and I said, I know my guy Cody Brundage, and he is going to fucking knock this guy out because Zach Reese does not move his head off the fucking center line, and Cody's got a nice right hand, and he's going to fucking put this guy out. Not exactly how it played out, but you saw it was the right call. Cody Brundage picked him up, slammed him down, have an armbar attempt, and knocked him out. I was a Zach Reese hater. I am a known. I will always tell you guys when I'm biased or anti-biased against a certain fighter. I thought that he was a little bit fraudulent. And then I see kind of the bounce back from that first loss, because how do you really bounce back from a loss? He fought like who's the fight after that one? He
fought the porn star.
Julian Marquez, who Cody Brundage, coincidentally enough, is fighting in March 1st. He fought Julian Marquez and finished him. And then he fought a very tough, durable Jose Medina. And Zach Reese was coming off 8 fights, all ended in the first round, 7 of them with finishes. And there was a lot of question marks on how is this guy going to look after the first round when he starts running into tougher opponents. And while Jose Medina didn't offer a lot offensively, he still made Zach Reese work. And you saw that Zach Reese through 3 rounds is okay, right? He's not going to be like crazy. He was able to get takedowns and offensive control when he needed it, when he's a little bit tired on the feet. Is he going to be able to do that against a guy like Azamat? I don't know. But is Azamat going to be as durable as Jose Medina was in that first round? I don't know. Because Zach Reese fucking throws some fucking shit. He will put caution to the wind, and he will come with heavy kicks. He will come with heavy hands. And if you try to grapple, especially early, he will come in with very, very aggressive jiu-jitsu. So, while Azamat should win this fight, he's not just some regional guy. He's at AT with the top people, Moicano, fucking Dustin Poirier, all these people, all this the same around the weight class. He trains with these high-level people. So he's not a bum. He's not a regional guy. But when I'm watching tape, and I'm watching him go 5 rounds in a split decision with Dylan fucking Budka, right? And I got Zach Reese in front of me at plus 200 odds. I'll be goddamned if this fight was announced on Sunday. Zach Reese would probably be my lock of the week. He's not, because I already worked on some different fucking video, and I'm not going to scrap all that. But I'm going Zach Reese here. I think he is very dangerous. Has proved he is, kind of live through 3 rounds. And Azamat in his striking seems a little bit stiff. His wrestling is just kind of okay to me, right? When they're getting out scrambled and Dylan Budka is fucking, it's like
that wrestling, scramble and wrestling his takedowns are good. He will pick you up and just slam you down.
You didn't watch the Dylan Budka fight, or Dylan Budka was like out scrambling on, was taking him
scrambling
down,
and takedowns are different things. And Zach Reese just accepts takedowns because he's a jiu-jitsu nerd. So he's like, yeah, gotta take me down.
He scrambles into chokes off his back. He initiates scrambles, and when you can't really scramble real well with control, like Azamat can't, that's when you get caught and stuff. I think Zach Reese is extremely live early and could even win a decision here. I'm going with Zach Reese. I like it.
I'm on the other side. Listen, I like Zach Reese as well. I threw him in a safety parlay. I think Zach Reese is good. I just feel like Azamat, I'm glad you mentioned he's not a regional bum. And now there are some fights on there that, whatever, but he is at the right teams, doing the right things. This is a well-deserved UFC shot. He's small. My biggest concern here is his size. Dude, 5'11" at middleweight is like, he's not big.
Yeah, good luck.
And he's not thick either.
Man.
He's not thick either. I think he'll close the distance, no problem. Dude, I think he just bombs away, close that distance, ragdoll Zach to the ground, and then Zach is going to be perfectly comfortable there, not trying to stand up, throwing up arm bars and triangles, and they're not going to matter. That's how I think this goes. We'll see. It's an interesting short notice switch up for sure. We can all agree that Zach Reese went from guaranteed winning to we got a competitive fight in our hands here. And that's kind of an unfortunate switcheroo for him because your opponent drops, you're kind of hoping for a favor or two, which he did not get. No DraftKings pricing. This fight was literally just announced yesterday, I believe. So we don't have DraftKings pricing just yet. We do have odds, and those odds are continuing to move. He opened at minus 250. It tightened immediately, and then it widened back up. So now we're back to where we started at the minus 250 odds for UFC newcomer Azamat Bekoev. I do got a bet here, and if you do want to check out the bet that I got doing, you can do so now at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. You'll get all the picks, the bets, and tools for this event. You'll get all the picks and bets and tools for UFC Saudi Arabia and whatever the hell the events are after that.
I can't wait for these props for this fight to drop.
The round line
for
dropped.
The props to the fight to drop. For the props for the fight to drop. I can't wait for the props.
Let me know when you wrap up that song so I can move to the next fight. Nice clean break. I need the clean breaks. There we go. I kind of thought you were going to bring it back up. Next up at UFC. Professional Jakey boy. Next up at UFC.
Is there something behind you? What the fuck is behind you? What the fuck is that? Oh my God. What the fuck is that? Holy shit.
Dude, and it's not. I thought it was Tiff at first. It's not. Holy shit.
Who the fuck
They
is
are
it?
small woman hands, so I did think it was Tiff. Dude, does she know you're here? Holy shit.
Who the fuck is that?
I assume a neighbor. There is a mask. I could be getting robbed right now.
I know.
Oh my God. I hear Tiff laughing. So I think we could. Holy crap.
Jesus
How long
Christ.
was he there?
I have no idea. I just looked up and I was like, the same thing. Like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
Yeah, dude, he's wearing like a mask from
Scream mask, wasn't it?
No, not Scream, a different mask. Oh my God. Because at first I thought it was you, and then I saw that it wasn't because of the hairy arms, but the hands are small. The hands on that person were extremely small, delicate hands on whoever that was. Tiny hands.
Why is there another man in your house right now?
Oh, shit. Tiff recorded. Yeah, why is there a man?
That's my first question.
I think I know who it is. We'll find out. Tiff sent a video of it, so it's all recorded. So he must have come in through the back door. Is this what happens when I'm streaming? Is this what happens when I'm streaming?
They got that down pat, huh? You have no idea that he's there. They can literally just watch their stream and wait for you to get. Oh, nope, he's still in the chair.
Maybe I do a spontaneous pee. You'll never know. All right, let's break this down. That did that grief. Yeah, that's Kuyu, is who that is. The biggest troll. Okay. Next up at UFC 311, we have Jailton Almeida taking on Sergey Spivak. Jailton Almeida 21-3 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that bounce back win over Alexander Romanov. He's taking on Sergey Spivak, 17-4 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a bounce back win over Marcin Tybura. Jailton Almeida is an absolute savage. I love this guy. I have picked him pretty much in every single fight, including the Curtis Blades fight, which I know he lost, but he was dominating before he just sort of froze up on that leg. He's an absolute savage. He has not looked like a human being yet outside of the one mental lapse. Powerful hands. We don't really see a ton of them, though, because he's all in, nonstop on the wrestling and the grappling. All but one of his wins are by stoppage, and that's because of his nonstop pressure. He will come in hot. He will relentlessly work for takedowns, and once he hits the ground, he will chase submissions and then hit you in those transitions. He has only ever been to one single decision in the UFC, and even that was an insanely dominant performance. He did just beat the hell out of Romanov, where he only needed one single takedown in 3 minutes to get it done. He is taking on fellow grappler Sergey Spivak, heavyweight grappler. He's got great ground and pound, solid takedowns, okay submission game. He is a capable striker, but it's not fantastic. He does not have knockout power, but a decent enough jab and solid volume. His biggest issue is control. The reason he averages around 5 takedowns per fight is because people are standing up on him because he can't keep them there. This is going to be a pretty juiced fight card. Every fight we're breaking down, you can see what the odds are. They're pretty wide. And I get it. And this is a fight that I'm surprised hasn't widened, because I think Jailton Almeida just takes down Sergey whenever he wants to. And then off of his back, what's Sergey going to do? Throw up an armbar? Yeah, maybe. But Jailton Almeida is not Marcin Tybura. He's a physical beast. We know he's got cardio. We saw that in the Derek Lewis fight. We know he's powerful. We know he's got the wrestling. We know he's got a BJJ black belt. Jailton Almeida absolutely sprint runs through Sergey Spivak. If Sergey had big one-punch knockout power, maybe. But he doesn't. So Jailton Almeida absolutely ruins Sergey Spivak here. Jailton Almeida is the pick, and I think these odds are honestly kind of a discount. What do you think, Chicky boy?
Yeah, I've obviously been a Jailton hater. Famously, I've picked against him a number of times, and one of those times it paid off. And for this to pay off for Spivak, he's got to make Jailton work, right? You got to extend this, because if you make him work, you saw how tired he got against Derek Lewis. And yeah, he was still able to get the takedowns, all that stuff against Derek Lewis. But against Sergey, you'd think it would be a little bit different. So you got to be able to survive. You got to be able to make this guy work, get to the second round, get to the third round, and start seeing what happens. But Jailton just has so much success early. It's just hard to see any other outcome. So, while I don't like the guy, and I almost root against the guy pretty actively because I think he's overrated, he's got all the opportunity in the world to kind of roll here. So I'm going Jailton.
All right. At least you're finally on the right side of history here. I'm with you. Jailton should dominate here. I'm surprised his odds didn't take off. Like Rinya's odds took off, so why not Jailton? Because Sergey's won a couple of fights. And I've referenced this fight before, and it's almost unfair to do because it's so long ago. But remember when he fought Alexei Olenek? Quite literally the worst fight I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was bad. And that was a few years ago, and he hasn't looked that bad since. But Jailton has only had one single, lapse in judgment. Outside of that, complete domination from him. Jailton Almeida should dominate here as well. $9,500 in DraftKings Fantasy. I absolutely think that is worth it. And if you do want to check out the bets we got on this fight, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It is only $10 for an entire month's worth of access. Here, I'm going to show you the video. Tiffany recorded that whole thing. That's him walking to my office, all creepy. Just standing there, dude.
Thank God I was paying attention. Otherwise, he'd been there quite a while.
My heart dropped when I turned around because I was just like trying to process what the hell was going on. How long was he there for? Well, I guess even when I noticed, he didn't move an inch. You can't hear the audio, but that's me going, next up at UFC, and then you pointed out. That was creepy as hell. That was creepy. Oh, well. Next up, at UFC 311, we have the biggest favorite, not only on this card, but so far the biggest favorite of the year, Peyton Talbot, taking on Hani Barcelos. Peyton Talbot, 9-0, undefeated in his career with 8 stoppages, taking on the aging veteran Hani Barcelos, 18-5 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming off a bounce-back win where there was some glimpse of his younger self. Peyton Talbot, he is a very good prospect. He's somebody the UFC is absolutely looking to build. Flashy striker, lots of movement, decent power, tall for this division, uses all of his athletic abilities. He throws out 1-2s. He sets an incredible pace. Then he finds the big shots. Solid takedown defense, and if he is taken down, he stays busy and looks to work his way back up. He can be out-grappled, though. If you go digging around his regional fights, you'll see more than one fight where he was taken down, a little bit of control there before he was able to pull it off. He's coming off that insanely fast knockout win over doesn't belong in the UFC, Giannis Gamori, taking on Hani Barcelos. He is aging. He is slowing down, all the negative effects that come with not being young anymore, but he's still a very good, well-rounded fighter, and he just proved that he can still get wins at this level. Striking-wise, good low kick, solid volume, great pace. Wrestling-wise, 5-time Brazilian national champion. He averages around 2 takedowns per fight. His takedown defense is an incredible 85%. He's good everywhere, definitely slowing down with age, but he did just beat Christian Quinones, where we saw some flashes of a younger Hani. Peyton is very good. Could potentially be the next big thing. And I think this is obviously set up for him to win, right? They gave him an older vet who's lost a couple of times recently and is starting to definitely slow down and be less dangerous. Hani wasn't dangerous before. He's not dangerous now. Obviously, the only real opportunity Hani's going to have here is to turn this into a absolute wrestle-heavy type fight where he's getting takedown after takedown after takedown. Peyton Talbot should absolutely win this fight. Minus 1,200. These odds went nuts. He was like minus 900 just 3 weeks ago, and then they skyrocketed to minus 1,200. Odds are indicative of who is going to win. So, yes, I think Peyton Talbot wins this fight. I don't know if he's going to finish Hani. I don't know if he's going to be this. I don't know how he's going to win. This could go a million different ways, but pretty straightforward breakdown. I'll take the young, pretty composed for his experienced prospect over the aging vet that's starting to lose a beat here. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Peyton should win this fight. Again, this is another one of those lock of the week graveyards. I had Christian Quinones over Hani Barcelos as my lock of the week, and he was doing really well, right? It was the fight I thought it was going to go. I think Christian was minus 1,000 in the second round for the live odds, and that's kind of indicative of Hani's career of lately. As Angelo mentioned, he's a little bit older. He's starting to slow down. He was kind of getting lit up in the striking a little bit. He did find a way to dog that fight out, right? I mean, he did what he needed to do in the third round to win that fight. So he's coming off a nice come from behind the win. But the way that fight started, you put that kind of same situation against a guy like Peyton, who's probably way more dangerous than the guy like Christian Quinones, just a recipe for disaster. So I like Hani, and this could end up being a nice test for a guy like Peyton Talbot. If he turns into the old durable Hani, I think Peyton's just going to be probably just a little bit too much for him, and probably it's going to be able to find that finish as well. So I'm on Peyton here, and yeah, here's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally an age thing, a youth thing. He's young, he's fast, he's athletic, and ultimately that matters. It's not like he sucks and he's just young. He's good and he's young and he's fast, and Hani will be a step behind. What is insane, though, is an unprecedented $9,900 in DraftKings Fantasy. I don't think we have ever seen a price like that, ever. I think 98 is the most we have ever seen. $9,900 in DraftKings Fantasy. That's insane. I probably am not going to spend it, because there's a lot of heavy favorites on this card that I think win that will score well. I mean, if he knocks out Hani in 10 seconds, he's going to score 120 points. If he knocks out Hani in 5 minutes, he might just score 100 points. Like there's a lot of variables here. $9,900 is absolutely crazy, but there is a little bit of action here. We do have some props. There is some value. I had a bet on Peyton a couple weeks ago, and you can take a look at all of those right now at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. It's freaking $10. The greatest price point in this space. You have a whole suite of tools. You have multiple cappers giving you their picks and their bets. You have round line leans, confidence plays. Literally everything you could ever need heading into a fight week. And it's not just 1 week. It's 4. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. We do have a super chat. $2 from Tanis. Let's go, boys. Thanks for the content. We appreciate you, Tanis. Content-wise, when that dude was standing behind me with the mask on, I probably should have freaked out for clip farming, but I literally was just trying to process what was going on while my heart was like... So that is what it is. Next up, at UFC 311, for now, this is still the featured prelim of the evening, despite Bogdan Guskov having a new opponent. But we got Billy Elikana taking on Bogdan Guskov. Billy Elikana, 7-1 in his career. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He is making his UFC debut on short notice. He's taking on Bogdan Guskov, 16-3 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, riding back-to-back knockout wins. We'll start on the Billy side. He's the new one here. He's a patient but heavy-handed striker. He's a long guy. He uses that length to keep range. He mostly backs up. He's not coming for you. He's mostly backing up, keeping that range, and looking to counter. He does have a nice step-in jab. He's got plenty of feints and twitches, as well as solid takedown defense, and lots of people bite on that stuff, which really just extends fights here. Most Elikana fights are slow-paced, and you're chilling for the first 10 minutes or so, and then he finds a rhythm, he settles in, he starts to take more chances, and he is a powerful guy. He's taking on Bogdan Guskov, the very heavy-handed guy who likes to come forward, throw big, and mix things up. While he's striking, he is fast, and his power is very, very real. He keeps his hands low. He's got good footwork, nice combinations. If he does not get an early knockout or the striking success isn't really there, he'll work you to the cage and potentially try to get you a takedown. If he gets a takedown, he'll ride you out with control. He can get a little reckless on the ground, but nothing too crazy. He's coming off that second knockout win, this time over highly ranked Ryan Spann. Originally, Bogdan Guskov was supposed to fight Johnny Walker. So was he preparing for a full 15 minutes? Probably not. That's the one thing that does concern me here, but this should be a pretty straightforward win for Guskov. Billy is not a high-paced guy. He is absolutely a step down in competition. But again, that one concern is if Bogdan was just preparing to knock out Johnny Walker and move on with his day, Billy is a guy who has no problem dancing backwards, taking his time, extending a fight. Bogdan has only ever been to one single decision, and it did not go his way. Bogdan should win here, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to allude to anything else. But not knowing how good Elikana's chin is, not having any success on the Guskov side after the first 10 minutes is a little something to look at here, which is also why I bet on the over 1.5 at plus 155. Bogdan Guskov's odds, I'm not betting on my minus 300. So for plus 155, I think over 1.5 rounds makes sense. I think Billy Elikana is going to back up, do what he does, take his time, avoid chaos. What do you think, Jakey Bongolotes?
We finally, Angelo, we've been through the Lock of the Week graveyard. We have a former Lock of the Week winner in Bogdan Guskov. I had him against Zach Pauga. It's funny looking back, sometimes looking back on fights now, be like, I can't believe he was I think he was a slight underdog, but he was the underdog, and he came through for us in a big way because this guy does have big power. He will kind of wait for that opportunity, so I don't disagree with the play that Angelo's discussing, right? But when he lands it, he fucking lands it. Right, and Billy is going to be at a disadvantage. Maybe he tries to bring in some wrestling or whatever, because we've seen Bogdan be able to get taken down and controlled a little bit. But even that short notice, you can see Bogdan has improved a little bit. Even that Ryan Spann fight, he was staying alive, and you could see the takedown offense kind of start to be there. So, and Billy isn't like a natural wrestler anyway. But I will say, as much as I like Bogdan, and as much as he should win this fight, maybe by knockout, maybe I think he could just have the bigger moments in a decision fight. Billy isn't one of those like moment makers, right? He just kind of wants to grind 2 victories. It's tough to grind a guy like It's tough to grind a guy like Bogdan. But Bogdan will give you a shot because when he starts getting in that flow state, he is a guy that goes from here to he will just drop his hands. And if he has you hurt or he's got you against the fence, he's going to drop his hands and he's going to give you a shot for those counter shots. Whether Billy hits it or not, probably not. But Bogdan gets a little bit reckless when he gets somebody hurt. And if Billy can kind of stay tough and then throw one in kind of those Izzy shots against the fence, we'll see. But I like Bogdan here. He should be able to be more than enough, and he was the one that was, prepared for this fight. So I like Bogdan.
Yeah, Bogdan should win. What do you think of my over 1.5 here? I mean, you watched the Billy tape, same tape I did. He backs up. He runs away.
I guess you didn't listen. Didn't listen to anything. That literally just half my discussion was talking about how I agree with that play.
Oh, I was not listening.
Yeah, no.
That's my opportunity to catch up on the chat and catch my breath.
I can do two things at once. I read the chat as I'm listening to you because I'm not.
You literally say 10 times a video. I don't listen to anything you say. Literally 10 times a video.
I always respond to everything. Like, Angelo said this. Angelo said that.
I don't know.
Angelo had a good point here. Or Angelo's a fucking idiot here. And you sit here like this.
Read things. You know what's funny? Obviously, TikTok's going away Friday. It's gone forever. Maybe it's Saturday. I forget. And I've been watching these best of TikTok highlights. And one of them is Judge Judy talking to some old guy, telling him, that is a video of your car slamming into her car. What am I missing? And the old guy's just like, the whole time. And then Judge Judy just says that, yelling at him. And she goes, great Judge Judy moment. You got to love Judge Judy. She's absolutely fantastic. You also got to love the fact that everything we offer, freaking $10. No stupid packages. No bets for 10.
Push through legislation real quick to delay the ban, by the way.
They're trying to? Is that what you said?
They're trying to delay it. Were you reading a fucking comment again?
No, I didn't. I couldn't tell if you said I'm trying to and you being sarcastic dickhead or if you were being serious.
I'm fucking going
That's why I didn't know if you were
tomorrow.
joking or not.
Well, I'm going to the Capitol tomorrow. Oh, TikTok. Don't take my TikTok.
The funniest part about the
where's Mike
TikTok
Pence?
The funniest part about the TikTok ban is I guess what's happening is the actual Chinese TikTok, it has a different name, Red something. You can download that. So people were just signing So people were just signing up for that.
How do you know it's not RedTube?
Because I know it's not. It's like Red Band or something like that. Anyway, the banning of TikTok is funny because all Red Notes. See, this guy gets it. And it's funny because all the videos I'm watching of it getting banned are hilarious too. Like the fake, hey, I'm your Chinese spy. Just wanted to say thanks for everything. Like all that stuff's so funny. The internet, man. The internet. And what else you can get on the internet is $50. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link to sign up with any one of our partners. Make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. You just have to use the link. And then after you use the link, you sign up. You make a deposit. We validate that was actually a sign up using our link. They're going to pay us. We're going to pay you $50. Very simple. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make a deposit. Here's a closer look at that refreshed data analyzer. This is a tool that we offer. You can go well out into the future. At any event, any fighter on those events, you can look at all of the detailed data, the insight. You can filter out information, trying to find your prop bets, trying to do your research. You can even get your full tape study from inside this one single tool. This one tool literally replaces every other tool, replaces all the research and the time and the effort that you're doing anywhere. It has every stat you could ever want or need. You can then adjust those stats. It'll plot them out on a chart. You can then hover over a dot on the chart to see who the judges were, all the insight, and then click on that dot. And the video pops up, and you watch the video of that actual fight. If you're a research guy, this is your tool. And here's a look at the last 6 pay-per-view results. Happen to be crushing pay-per-views. Angela, why 6? Well, because this is the last 6 freaking months. 41% ROI. ROI is by far the most important number. It's not total units because everybody's idea of units are completely different. There's a Muppet out there, and I literally don't have anybody specific in mind. I usually do when I say these things. I don't this time. Putting 20 units on this fight, 30 units on this card. That's an unreasonable, that's obviously not real. Your units are either $1 or it's just not real. So that's why you look at ROI. What is the return on the investment? Did I put 300 units out the door to take back 10? Like, ooh, I'm up 10 units. Or did I put 4 units out to bring back 7? Did I put 4 out to bring back 6, 3.5 to bring back 5, 5 to bring back 7? Those ROI numbers are what separate this from everything else. We happen to smoke pay-per-views, so if you do want to check everything out for this pay-per-view, you can, and everything that we offer is available inside of the app. Just search We Want Picks on the App Store. Download the app, 100% free to get the app, to download the app, push notifications, all that. We Want Picks on the App Store. And you will also get the changes that we've made. We still have Artem. We still have the artificial intelligence. Still got Jakey Boy. And then we brought in Bet Sam. We brought in Bet Sam because he is homegrown from our community. He watches the show. He calls into the call-in show. He developed his own style. He developed his own researching cadence, I guess. And last year, he was one of the best cappers in this space. Between Artem absolutely crushing regional shows, I think Artem just picked a perfect LFA card. Literally perfect. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Everything we offer right there. Ready to go. And if you want to send something for mail day, you can do so here. P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. If you're a small business, like, hey, can you just showcase this product for me? Of course. I had somebody reach out saying, can I send you this product and just tell me how much money? I said, just send it in the mail. We'll do a mail day and I'll showcase your thing for you. Here's the address, whatever you'd like to send. Opening up the UFC 311 main card, we have Kevin Holland taking on Rinya de Rider. Kevin Holland, 26-12 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming off that broken rib loss to Roman Dolidze. He's taking on Rinya de Rider, 18-2 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off a successful UFC debut. Kevin Holland's a guy that we've broken down at least 15 times on this show. Powerful, laser pinpoint accurate striker with incredible jiu-jitsu and questionable wrestling in between. He's a sniper on his feet. The accuracy is impressive. The range is incredible. He can also grapple really well. He's competitive on the ground with his length. So he has a black belt, and then to compound that, his length allows him to do things on the ground that most people won't be able to. He is coming off that loss to Roman Dolidze. It's booked as a TKO. You're going to see it and be like, oh, Roman. He literally broke his rib on a takedown.
Really kind of fucking pissed me off.
I was good with that. I had Roman inside the distance.
Well, I had Roman by sub, and literally Roman was like all week, like, yeah, I want to sub him. And then he gets a position where Roman was on top, and it's like, oh, and then the fight's over, and you're like, oh.
Broke his rib, which is insanely painful. That just is what it is. Fighting with a broken rib's got to be way harder because he fought with a broken hand.
Yeah, he tried to fight through it too, and his coach called off. He's like, I don't think he was too upset about it, but yeah.
I mean, he fought Wonder Boy with a broken hand, and I imagine if you ask him which one is more painful, he's gonna be like the rib. He's taking on Rinya de Rider, former 2-division world champion in 1 FC. He's a solid grappler on his side. He's got good takedowns, great submissions. He's ridiculously tall and interesting build for his division, and he uses his length really well on the ground. He will strike. It's not very clean. He definitely thrives on the ground. He's a bit out of sorts on the feet, and that's actually how he lost both of his 1 FC belts. He just couldn't get the takedowns. And because he couldn't get the takedowns, he just wasn't able to hang on the feet as well. He is coming off that submission win over Gerald Meerschaert in the UFC debut. I'm going to give you my pick, and let me walk you through why. I have been picking Rinya de Rider for a month since he was an underdog. He was an underdog for up until 2 days ago, basically. And my logic is that while Kevin Holland is definitely the better striker, not even without question, I don't think he's the better jiu-jitsu guy. And I think what ends up happening here is Rinya comes forward, gets the takedowns, and then he's going to win the fight like that. Here's what I'm going to point out. A few years ago, Kevin Holland was getting taken down by anybody that looked at him. Derek Brunson took him down, Marvin Vettori took him down, and there was this whole narrative that anybody can take down Kevin Holland, his takedown defense sucks. To the point where DC was like, Jesus, come to my gym, I will help you, this is bad. And that just went away. People just stopped talking about that. And it's not because all of a sudden Kevin Holland started defending everybody's takedowns, and you're going to point out he defended Hamzat's takedown. Hamzat just came in running all sloppy and loose. It's just that he wasn't fighting big wrestlers anymore. He went down in weight to welterweight where he was having a bunch of success. But now he's back up at middleweight. He's fighting a huge guy who can get takedowns. That's why I think Renier wins. The one thing I'm super worried about is in his UFC debut, Renier was doing some dumb shit, dude. He was just like, he's in dominant positions on the ground and then rolling and doing, it's almost like he forgets he's in a fist fight and just treats it like it's a grappling match and he's taking chances. That could be a problem. This is a pick that I have not flipped on. There is a pick later that I have completely flipped on. I haven't flipped on this, but I'm not as certain as I was before. As more money comes in on Renier, the more I'm like, uh-oh, this guy's going to blow it. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, going into this fight, into this matchup, if you guys have been in the Discord the past month, maybe a little bit longer than that, anytime people were talking about this fight, it's like, yeah, I don't know what happens. And honestly, anybody that is trusting Kevin Holland in 2025 with their money is like, I have no idea like what you're doing. Like, yeah, he should win this and that or whatever. And then this week, as I always do, I watched kind of the recent fights of fighters and stuff, and I rewatched that RDR fight versus Gerald, and I was like, Kevin, like if you lose to this dude, man, Kevin, if you're losing to this dude, man. I mean, what are we doing, man? This guy can't fucking strike with you. Oh, relentless wrestling, 13 takedowns. This guy was on his fucking knees, like crawling to Gerald. This flat-footed Gerald in the Apex cage, the smaller cage. He just like trying to fall on Gerald. Half his takedowns were because Gerald initiated for whatever reason some weird takedown or whatever, and then he was able to kind of work off of that. Yeah, he might get in a clinch position and grab Kevin and drag him to the ground, but I think if there's one thing about Kevin, I know that he's had people talk about, does he really care? Is he really just fighting? He gets paid a lot. He fights often. Is he really trying it? Does he really give a shit? He's lost 12 times. You know, what's another loss type of thing. I think there's one thing that Kevin, when you watch him fight, he's really proud of. That is his jiu-jitsu. Because I think he takes a lot of honor in that black belt, it's a very high-level black belt given to him by a high-level guy that Rogan just rant and raves over, like he's under this guy. I think when he's in these grappling matches, you see him kind of really scramble hard in those positions. You saw that against Chimaev, right, with the Grammy rolls and all that stuff. He's trying to get away. And if he's doing that stuff against RDR's not going to hold on to him like Chimaev was, right? You saw against Jacare, he gets taken down. He's banging those elbows, right? He's trying to do stuff on the feet, live on the ground. So this whole theory that RDR is going to just take this guy down and then just submit him, Kevin Holland knows what he's doing. He's a very long guy down there. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to stay safe in the jiu-jitsu, but he also knows how to use it to get back to his feet. The reason why he hurt his rib was against Roman. He got in a lockdown position, avoided the damage, took his time, and then was scrambling, was about back to his feet when he ripped his rib and then was back down on the ground. So he knows how to scramble back to his feet. And on the feet, I mean, Jesus Christ. This guy Renier is just like, he does weird shit. He throws strikes weird. He's like ducking. His hands are here, and he doesn't know this. He doesn't. It's like, dude, Kevin, just take your time, and he's just gonna fucking walk into that right hand like a few people have done. I got to a point after watching that Gerald fight where it's like, dude, if you don't win this fight, man, like you're gonna let this guy look at this guy. This Dutch kickboxer that just kind of wants to drag people to the ground and then find weird submissions. Like you mentioned, those like desperation, like darces that he was going for against Gerald. It's like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, and he was fucking tired too. He was fucking really
He
tired.
looked bad.
Long story short, I'm going Kevin Holland here, and it's like fucking, he should fucking, Kevin. Hey, Kevin, we're not losing to this guy, right? I mean, come on, man. We're not losing to this guy. Right? Let's buckle down. Let's just get the hips involved. Defend the takedown. Let's get the space and fucking punch this guy right in the fucking head. He doesn't move his head, Kevin. Come on.
Yeah, listen, I told you I have not flipped my pick. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with my gut here. But it is a fight that I'm like, oh, man. I didn't bet on it. And thankfully, because I would have some buyer's remorse. Because Kevin is good. Kevin's a guy I've been high on in the past, but the wrestling hasn't changed, and I just think he's going to get taken down. My fear isn't can Renier take down Kevin. I'm not even worried about the striking. My fear is that Renier does insanely stupid shit on the ground. And he's just going to get to the ground and just try to play these stupid games that work with Gerald, who is a very good grappler, but I don't know, it's just it's a different world. So it does worry me a bit.
The difference is a different world, too, compared to Gerald in the Apex compared to Kevin Holland with the full cage and that range that he has. So,
all right, cool. I think we're obviously on opposite sides here, but I don't think we're as insanely far apart. I just don't think the takedown defense is going to be there. $8,300 in DraftKings Fantasy for Kevin Holland, despite him being the underdog, and that is the beauty of DraftKings Fantasy pricing. It doesn't adjust. The odds are live, but the DraftKings Fantasy pricing is not. If you were on the Rinya side or you are on the Rinya side, you get him at a discount now, even though he's the favorite in real life. I actually may shoot my shot there with that $7,900, sub $8,000. I might get that going. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, what the DraftKings Optimizer says, that builds lineups for you, you can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. It's $10 for a whole freaking month, an entire month, a whole month, $10. WeWantPicks.com. Next up, at UFC 311, we have one of the more interesting fights on this card. This entire main card is absolutely spectacular. All 5 of these fights are interesting fights. And this is one of the more interesting ones that has also had some back and forth line movement. We have Jiri Prochazka taking on Jamahal Hill. Jiri Prochazka, 30-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that second loss to Alex Pereira, taking on Jamahal Hill. 12-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that KO loss at UFC 300, also to Alex Pereira. Both of these gentlemen are former world champions who did not lose their belt in battle. They both got injuries, lost their belts that way, and then when they came back to fight for the belt, to get it back, it just did not go well for them. There should be a really exciting fight with a couple of different plot lines. We have Jiri Prochazka, the former light heavyweight champion of the world, who is a legitimate crazy person, incredibly fun to watch. He always brings the fight to people. He comes forward. He's not very technical, but he hits very hard. He is very dangerous. And if he's not fighting Alex Pereira, he's very durable. Alex seems to be the only person that can be absolutely getting him out of there. But we have seen more than one Jiri Prochazka fight where he's in trouble. He's wobbly. He's on ice skates. And then he comes back and gets it done. He's got plenty of cardio, plenty of power, landing 5 significant strikes per minute, insanely high number to get hit with. Jiri Prochazka is a dangerous, scary man who you just don't know what you're going to get when he steps in that octagon. He's taking on Jamahal Hill, also former light heavyweight champion of the world. He got rid of that belt when he blew out his Achilles playing basketball. Took him 8-9 months to come back, and when he came back, he had the controversial knockout with Alex Pereira. The problem with Jamahal Hill is we don't know how good he is or is not. Seemingly, he's fantastic. He beat Glover Teixeira in an incredible performance, 25 minutes of sheer domination. And because that fight was so dominant and so long, his stats are amazing. He has an incredible 7-3 striking differential, meaning he's landing at a very high volume and hit very infrequently. He is primarily a boxer, and his boxing seemingly is very accurate. It is clean. It is crisp. He has a 73% takedown defense, which he probably doesn't need in this fight. And as I mentioned, he's coming off that knockout loss to Alex Pereira. What makes breaking this down interesting is because Jamahal Hill has become one of the most unlikable people in this sport. And he did it organically. To his credit, he earned the dislike. He earned the hatred with just one cringy statement after another. He came into the fight with Alex Pereira promoting it, trying to cause problems and using the statue, and then he got knocked out in a meme fashion, which only hurt. But then instead of just moving on and being like, it happens to everybody, he doubled and tripled down on the fact, that was a bullshit knockout. I wasn't ready yet. You took advantage of me. I got caught off guard. Just absolute nonsense, chaos. Then he's in his BMW just filming stacks of cash like, hey, all you losers sending me memes, look, I'm rich, you're not. Then he has the incident with Alex Pereira in the UFC Apex gym where he's like in Alex's face talking shit. So Alex talks in boxing gloves and said, all right, let's go. And Jamahal just backs away. He's become a cringy dude. So you got to separate your thoughts on his persona, or it's not even a persona, it's just his actual personality. Separate your thoughts on his personality versus his fight skills. His fight skills are actually pretty good. He's a technical striker. Other than the flash knockout with Alex and the flash submission with Craig, he's looked pretty good. He hasn't really shown that power and that insane finishability in the UFC, and I don't necessarily think he's going to show it here. When I first broke this down during the 3-week break, I picked Jamahal Hill. Jamahal was an underdog at the time. Now the odds have flipped, and so am I. As we get closer and closer, as you rewatch fights, as Jacob pointed out before, I just keep going back to the Alexander Rakic fight. Alexander Rakic is very, very, very good. And he was piecing up Jiri, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So what's Jamahal Hill going to do that Rakic hasn't done, that Dominic Reyes didn't do, that all these people haven't done? So I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Jiri Prochazka here just by some freak Viking nonsense. My real concern, though, is did Alex Poetin actually destroy Jiri's chin? Like, is that chin just gone now? Alex destroyed it. Jiri will never be the same. Let's assume he is the same, and if so, I think he can beat Jamahal with just being durable and crazy. What do you think, Jakey boy? Long breakdown.
Yeah, this was a very simple one for me. I can't stand both these guys. I've said both these guys are extremely overrated. I think one of the most overrated things in the sport is Jamahal Hill's power. Now, can he knock out a guy like Jiri? I mean, we're going to find out, right? Because Jiri, he was sat down in that first round and then knocked out clean in the last round that he has fought. So even if you don't have, crazy power, which I don't think Jamahal has, if you do have timing and somebody has lost their chin, we'll see what happens there. But there's just way too many questions. Literally, you could name any outcome for this fight, any of them, and nothing would surprise me. Early knockout by somebody, early weird, they're wrestling for some reason. I actually think this is kind of just a fly or whatever. I think Jamahal Hill comes in and wrestles a little bit, especially early, kind of take the wind out of the sails. It seems like I've seen him work on the grappling, and, that's obviously a shot in the dark. I don't know if he's even had a takedown attempt in the UFC, but, if there's a weird scramble, somebody gets submitted early, somebody gets finished late that goes to a decision, nothing would surprise me. I don't like either one of these guys. I think they're both overrated. Jiri is the only one that's really proven me wrong in those predictions, right? Because I was all over Rakic, and early on, like Angelo said, I was like, oh, yeah, like this is going very well. And then everything just kind of turned in an instant. As long as Jiri has that durability, I think he wins this fight just based off of pressure. I just don't think Jamahal Hill is that good. But I don't think Jiri is that good either. I've said he's overrated as well. So this is a pick. I'm not betting either one of these guys. Any outcome wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going Jiri.
I have not bet either because it is crazy. It's a crazy fight. It's a great fight. This is why we love the sport. Fights like this where it's just so hard to know exactly what's going to happen. Fights like this are exactly why we love this sport. I have no doubt this is going to be a fun fight to watch. And a lot of people are going to hate the outcome, whatever it is. And I feel like, I could be wrong, I feel like most people would be rooting for Jiri, right? Or is Jamahal not as hated as Twitter will make you think he is? Is it really just Twitter that hates his guts, or is it like everybody?
I'm not sure, but I think he's starting to play that character now.
Yeah, he realized, okay, the Howard Stern effect.
He's like the triggered,
he's Kobe
or whatever.
He's Kobe without the political aspect.
I don't really pay attention to any of it, but it seems like from what I've seen, it's like, oh yeah, he understands what's going on now.
I honestly hope so. I genuinely hope so, because nothing worse than being cringy and not knowing it. So I hope it is an act. Triple C played a character, worked for him. Kobe played a character, worked for him. So I hope.
I don't think it's an act. I just think he's more aware of
knows
how
what he's
to play
doing.
Into it. Yeah.
Sure. Well, Jiri Prochazka, dangerous guy. If you think he gets the finish, throw him in your DraftKings fantasy lineup. Jamahal Hill, dangerous adjacent. If you think he gets the finish, throw him in your DraftKings lineup. I do not think this goes to a decision. We have a 1.5 round line. I do think the over on that 1.5 makes sense, though. You said there might be some grappling early just off a random flyer in your head. I think it could be a staring contest early. Both of these guys just getting knocked out could be afraid to commit, and it could just be a staring contest, walking around, looking at each other, trying to play that range game. Jamal's very long. The last thing I forgot to mention here, Jamahal Hill's bragging about being 250 pounds like a week ago. That's a problem, dude. That's a problem. He's like, I'm a big boy. So I don't know what that weight cut's going to look like. I don't know anything.
A few weeks ago.
So, I mean, let's take a look at the embeddeds when the UFC starts to drop those. See if he looks like he's struggling, if he's sucked out, if he looks any different than he normally does. That may be a factor here as well. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else that we offer, $10 a freaking month. Like I said, no tiers. It's not like $10 for the bets and another $10 for the fantasy. No, it's $10 for everything. We're the Costco model. Incredibly high-quality product at an insanely low price. We're never touching that price point. That's why we have 4,600 premium members. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Next up, at UFC 311, we have the featured fight of the evening. We have Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano. Both of these gentlemen are on completely different trajectories. Beneil Dariush on a couple of fights skid, heading down, getting older, after being talked about as the next champion. Trying to work him into a title fight. Renato Moicano headed in the opposite direction. A couple of wins in a row, come from behind wins in some cases. All of a sudden got on the mic, really showed the world his personality, and he's just shooting to the top here. And if you believe in those tracks and those paths, and if you're one of the people that says, oh, the UFC wants, the UFC's plan, well, then you've already made up your mind. But this is a very good fight between two very good fighters, and the age discrepancy is not exactly what you would think it is. Beneil Dariush is 22-6 in his career. He is 3-2 in his last 5. He is on that 2-fight skid. He's taking on Renato Moicano, 20-5 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5 on a nice 4-fight win streak. Beneil Dariush, just a couple of years ago, was all of your favorites. All of you were telling us left and right, Beneil Dariush, next champion. Beneil Dariush, he's the man. Oh, he's going to win this. He's going to win that. He's the best. And now here we are, just 2 years later. 2 losses to the former world champion and a potential next world champion. And now everybody thinks Beneil sucks. The reality is Beneil Dariush is a former no-gi BJJ world champion. He has some of the best takedown defense I have ever seen in my entire life. Some of the best scramble skills I have ever seen in my entire life. He's got good technical striking. He's got real power. And he was on an incredible win streak up until he lost to Charles Oliveira and then again to Arman Tsarukyan. He's taking on Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano, while he is not a BJJ world champion, he is a high-level BJJ black belt. He's also a technical striker. Does not have stoppage power, but he does have good volume and a good pace. The issue is his chin is very suspect. We've seen him rocked and wobbled multiple occasions, but his groundwork is dirty. If he can get a fight to the ground, he will stay busy on top and really go at putting you away. This is a tough fight to pick. This line is very wide, in my opinion, even though it's minus 160 plus 140. I think this should be as close and flip-flopping as much as the Jiri Prochazka Jamahal Hill line. Beneil Dariush has incredible takedown defense. And I think Renato Moicano is going to try to get this fight to the ground. And I think he's going to have a little bit of trouble with those scrambles. I think Renato Moicano could absolutely screw up a scramble or two, end up on bottom. I think Renato Moicano can struggle on the feet a little bit. While he is a tiny bit younger, like in literal months, I think Renato Moicano might be gauging range for a little too long. Beneil Dariush hits hard. Beneil Dariush has great scramble skills, and I think Beneil Dariush wins this fight. And I'm going to say one last thing, and I don't want this to be, this is not Renato Moicano slander, because I do love him and his personality, and the fact that he's winning fights is impressive. But if we just look at his last couple of fights, he was losing to Drew Dober. He was going to lose that fight until Drew pulled him on top of himself. Then he is 99% knocked out by Jailton Turner. And Jailton Turner decides to turn around like an idiot and walk away. That's the only reason Renato recovered. And then in the last fight, he absolutely beat the piss out of Benoit Saint-Denis, but he caught a kick, and that's how it ended up on the ground. So yes, Renato Moicano is getting these wins and is very impressive, but the reality is, we haven't really seen that signature win over a very high-level guy yet. This could be it. I am picking Beneil Dariush, though. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Renato Moicano cannot afford to fucking lose. Show me the money, Moicano. I get all the love for Dariush because he is a good wrestler. He is a good grappler, defensively, all that stuff. And you saw people give him all they fucking got, right? And he does have power in his hands. And you saw that blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck, right? Last week I had a feeling about Felipe Bunes. I said, listen, I know he kind of got worn down, but I felt like he was working hard in there. And I think he can kind of win those scrambles and outdog Jose. And that's exactly what happened. In this fight, I know that all the X's and O's and everything leads to Dariush. Like, how is he going to get it done? He can't outstrike Dariush, right? How is he going to get it done? He can't take him down. How is he going to get it done? He can't outsweep. He can't outgrapple. How's he going to get it done? I don't fucking know. I just know that he fucking is. I'm going Mahal and not the Moicano to fucking just get it done because he's going to figure out a way because he cannot afford to lose, and I'm riding the train like that. Hanada Moicano is my pick. Am I betting him? Not right now.
I opened this up with the trajectory thing, and there is something to be said about that. That is the one thing that worries me. I mean, you lost 2 fights in a row. Very few people just, at 35 years old, just turn it back around and head in the right direction, where Moicano's on 4-fight win streak. He's on the way up. And Beneil did mention people are saying he's talking about retirement. I don't know if I don't know if I would interpret it that way. He basically said, if I can't beat Moicano, I need to be done. I don't know if that's quite the same as I'm going to retire. You know what I'm saying? That's more of a, I don't know, more of a hyperbole than it is like, I'm leaving. I'm thinking of retiring. I only got 2 left. That's more of a, I'm probably done here if I can't beat this guy. Dustin Poirier has been talking about retiring for 2 years, and he's looked very competitive in his last couple of fights. So I wouldn't put a ton of stock in that. This is going to be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. It matters very, very much. I did not bet it as well because while I do think Beneil wins, it's not quite a sure thing. 2-fight skid hasn't looked fantastic because he is getting finished in those losses. We do have $7,500 in DraftKings Fantasy versus $8,700. And again, this is tricky because if you're on the Moicano side, it could potentially look like the Benoit Saint Denis fight. If Moicano gets on top, he's just going to rain down. And I don't think Beneil's jiu-jitsu is going to matter at that point if he's eating elbows. But if Moicano can't get those submissions and he's stuck playing a sloppy back-and-forth game like he was against Drew Dober, it may not go as well for him either. So I am on the Beneil Dariush side. $7,500 is a very appetizing number in DraftKings Fantasy. So depending on how many lineups I have, he may be in one of them. If you do want to see what the DraftKings Optimizer is going to do, just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. The Optimizer is preloaded with ownership projections and scoring projections, and it builds lineups for you that you can use or just look at and interpret. Unlock all of it right now for freaking $10 at WeWantPicks.com. $1.99 super chat from Bogdan Svitin. I forgot to read this before. It said Bogdan Guskov buy whatever he wants. Thank you very much for that. And then there was this comment. JJ said $10 for 3 different picks and over-unders is a good deal. He's describing premium. And when he says 3 picks, he means 3 different people. It's not 3. It's 5. It's me, Jacob, Artem, Sam, and then an artificial intelligence. So there's 5 different cappers, if you will, picking fights. And then on top of it, we have the tools and everything else. So thank you for that. Next up, at UFC 311, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Merab Dvalishvili defending his belt for the very first time against Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab Dvalishvili, 18-4 in his career. He is 5-0 in his last 5, and he is on an 11-fight win streak, taking on Umar Nurmagomedov, undefeated in his career with 9 stoppages. This is a great fight. I'm not going to read each of their credentials as I normally do. We all know Merab has ridiculous cardio and will just charge forward and shoot takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown, and he can do that for as long as he wants. The only real shade you can throw his way is that the chin might not necessarily be there. We watched Henry Cejudo drop him a little bit, get him a little wobbled, bring him down to a knee. But outside of that, and outside of that loss to Ricky Simone 11 fights ago, Merab has just been an absolute cardio machine who will shoot over and over and over and over. He's taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. You would assume by that last name that he's going to fight exactly like Merab. And while he does have insanely high-level wrestling, he's not exactly a dive for the legs kind of guy. He will entertain the striking. He will hang out. He's got very good striking at that. Jacob, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. What?
Oh, you're completely frozen on screen. So, okay.
Showing back.
You might, I don't know if your internet or something, you're literally frozen on screen. Yeah, hop off, hop back on, see what happens. Umar Nurmagomedov isn't as quote-unquote desperate of a wrestler as Merab Dvalishvili is. And I don't mean desperate in a negative way. I just mean Umar will absolutely entertain a full-blown striking match for the entirety of a fight. Umar's got very high-level striking. We saw that in the Corey Sandhagen fight. He was hanging with Corey in the striking for the majority of that fight, winning many of those striking exchanges, and then would go to the wrestling. Umar Nurmagomedov is this next generation of Nurmagomedov. I mentioned the quick picks. Instead of the full ridiculous beard and no mustache that's just going to wrestle like crazy, we get a nice, tight, clean beard and a little bit of mustache, and all of a sudden, we've got a guy that can strike and wrestle. Now, the question becomes, who wins this fight? I think most people are just blindly saying Umar. And I'm going to pick Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight as well because I think he's the more well-rounded fighter, right? If he's not the better wrestler, they are equal wrestlers, and he is, without question, the better striker. I also appreciate the Nurmagomedovs and their dedication to this sport. There is no such thing as downtime or fun. They are 100% all businesses their entire life. So I think Umar wins. Better striker, as good of, if not the better wrestler, and the work ethic is absolutely insane. The only hesitation becomes, what's he going to look like on his back foot? If Merab is just full-blown charging forward, shooting takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown, can Umar just defend these takedowns and win scramble after scramble? Or is he eventually going to not do as well backing up as he does going forward? But Umar's going to be the pick. The wrestling might cancel itself out, and then if we're stuck with striking, Umar is by far, without question, the better striker. Going with Umar here, what do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm going to read you a tweet. This tweet's from August 4th of this year. I believe it was right after Umar beat Corey Sandhagen. This is from me, and I quote, "By the way, no idea who beats Umar. He made Corey look like a fringe top 10 guy, and Corey is really good. Umar was forcing takedowns early and looked a little bit flustered he couldn't get them. Khabib told him to slow down and trust his hands. He did exactly that and dominated the next 3 rounds, as much as you can dominate a guy like Corey, and showed that he's fine for 5. Apart from a weird KO that can always happen, I literally have no idea who beats him." And I truly believe that to my core. Maybe a sneaky guy like Petr Yan, right, with the boxing and the scrambling abilities can give him some issues. That's probably the next guy that you're looking at for a guy like Umar, but Umar is just so fucking skilled. He keeps range so well with the kicks. He doesn't even need to use the wrestling. He showed that against Corey, right? Early on, it's like, oh, Corey's defending these takedowns. And it's like, oh, no. And then people forget that this guy is a very, very good striker, defensively sound, throws the kicks out there at range. Merab is going to have a really tough time closing the distance on this guy. And I know that people love Merab, and he's a fun guy, and he just can be relentless and all these takedowns and all this style and overwhelm people and stuff like that. But when you are reckless in your entries against a high-level guy who's not scared to defend the takedown, right? Because a lot of guys will just, if you're just coming at them, they're like, oh shit, I can't do anything. I gotta drop my level. I gotta drop my hands. Where a guy like Umar will stay in the pocket and stay ready to strike because, oh, you got on my hips. I don't give a flying fuck if you get on my hips. You took me down a little bit. Guess what? I'm gonna get right back to my feet because I know what I'm doing. Merab already kind of lacks control in the wrestling. If he was a dominant, take you down and just kind of grind you, was averaging 3 takedowns a fight because he can just hold people, that's not Merab. He is fucking firing nonstop, and if he's able to pull that off in this fight, I will be fucking amazed. And will be one of the biggest wins I think the UFC, especially an underdog story, has ever seen. If Merab is able to just dog this guy for 5 fucking rounds, win his decision. Umar is just too good in the strike, and we've seen Merab kind of get chin right against Cejudo, against Marias. He's a tough guy. He works through it. He was put out against Ricky Simone like 3 times in those submissions. So he's been in some interesting spots. And against Umar, I think Umar could make him pay. So I don't know if Umar's going to finish him. I think I respect Merab enough to be, I think Umar kind of just plays that karate game, stays at the range, defend the takedown, maybe offensive wrestle a little bit. But I would be very surprised if Merab's able to pull this off.
Yeah, I'm on the Umar side as well. Like I said, my only concern is if Umar's backing up the whole time because Merab's just shot. And then it's,
Everybody.
Shot. Okay.
And that wasn't even the game plan versus Sean. I mean, he was just kind of waiting for – it was actually a master game plan because he kind of waited – instead of pressing Sean against the fence, I talked about this before, instead of being the normal Rab, which I'm sure Sean was ready for. I'm sure all they drilled was take down the fence against the fence, right? With the hip, splitting the legs, make sure switch off the single, and using that fence behind him, expecting Merab to just shoot. Merab lulled Sean into the middle and was able to shoot takedowns in the open octagon. I don't think that shit's going to work against Umar.
No, probably not. A lot of people talking about the over 4.5. Is that a lock? I do think over 4.5 is probably solid here. I debated parlaying the over 4.5 here and the over 4.5 in the main event, but then you're rooting for decisions.
Head kick KO in the third round by Umar.
Well, Umar does have kicks specifically for some reason are nasty. So I don't know if I'm going to do anything with the over, not because I don't trust it, more because what am I rooting for then? Just pitter patter or wrestle heavy. So we'll see how that goes. $9,200 in DraftKings Fantasy. You do have 5 full rounds. And if you think Umar gets it done, if you think he's dominant, then that may make sense. But if you think this looks like the Corey Sandhagen fight, where it's mostly striking, that $9,200 may not be worth the money. So it takes a little bit of investigation here to see if you think he's going to be worth it or not. But I do think Umar gets it done. And I think we have the belt change hands. I do feel bad for Merab a little bit. He finally got his title shot after begging and earning it for many years. And then they're like, here's the best guy the division has seen in a long time. And it's not even like the UFC hates him. Umar earned it. So it's not even like something's afoot here. Like Umar's the next guy in line. It is what it is. If you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, and everything else that we offer, it's only freaking $10 for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com.
And
click become a member.
I mean,
at the top.
I don't want to be a Sean O'Malley apologist here, but I did rewatch that fight the other day, and there really is an argument for Sean winning that first round. And there was a couple judges that already gave him 2 rounds after that. So I'm just saying it wasn't like a crazy. I know people like, oh, it wasn't really a dominant performance, and he fucking got hurt and could have got put out in the 5th round. So. I think there literally is a case to be made that Sean fucking won that fight. I'm not even bullshitting.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I did not watch it again.
2 judges already gave him 2 rounds.
I didn't feel it. Yeah, but did he deserve those rounds?
Yeah, of course he deserved those rounds because I don't think Merab got takedowns in those rounds, or just a little bit.
I'm watching live. That's not how it felt, but it wouldn't be the first time that you're in the moment feelings versus level head are very different.
But it wasn't like a 50-45. It wasn't dominant.
Yeah. A shutout. Next up, at UFC 311, we have the main event of the evening. We have a rematch from all the way back in 2019. We have Islam Makhachev defending his belt against Arman Tsarukyan. Back in 2019, these two gentlemen fought. It was Arman Tsarukyan's UFC debut. He was 22 years old, and he was the first and only person to take down Islam Makhachev. But here we are. Islam, the defending world champion, 26-1, 5-0 in his last 5, riding a 14-fight win streak, taking on Arman Tsarukyan, 22-3, 4-1 in his last 5, riding a 4-fight win streak. Islam, as we all know, insane wrestler, tremendous human being. The muscles on his back make no sense. You've never seen muscles like that on any other human being's back. But then you watch him hunched over on Dustin Poirier trying to work a choke, and it's just ripple. This guy is absolutely humongous, and he uses that size to bully you, to wrestle you. He uses that size to generate power in his punches and his kicks, and Islam Makhachev has evolved from just a nonstop Dagestani wrestler to a very well-rounded guy that has proven to have some dog in him. Alexander Volkanovski's little ass took him to hell and back. Dustin Poirier did the same. Ultimately, he won all 3 of those fights because he fought Volk twice. And Islam just continues to evolve and continues to remind us why he is so good. He has the wrestling. The striking is improving at an incredible pace. He's a massive guy. The cardio's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's good enough. And he's got some dog in him. He's taking on Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan is an incredible wrestler. He's managed to piece together some solid striking as well. He uses footwork and setups, with both the strikes and the takedowns. He's athletic. He'll mix in kicks, and he's very fast. His takedowns are impressive because he closes distance incredibly quickly. He's not shooting from too far away. They're not sloppy entries. They're nice. They're clean, and when he gets on top, he will stay busy. He's got great control, great composure. We saw that in the Oliveira fight where he was in a couple of really tight submissions there. He stayed composed. He worked his way out of it, ultimately ran through Charles Oliveira, and earned this title shot. When I break down rematches, I look at the first fight, I rewatch the first fight, I look at their careers since then, and then I decide, has anything fundamentally changed with these two people? In this case, a lot has changed. I actually am not going to use the first fight as the barometer. It was Arman's UFC debut, which is a huge deal. He was only 22 years old. Islam since then has really come into his own, became the champ. I don't think the first fight has anything to do with this fight whatsoever. So if I remove that from the equation, I just break it down fresh, I sort of end up in the same spot though. I think Arman is going to have some success. I don't think this is going to be an absolute thumping by Islam. Arman's a very good offensive wrestler. And I think Arman can definitely have some success here. But I think that success will slow down. It'll wane over time. And not that Islam has incredible... But I do think that Islam's size, his strength, I think Islam's wrestling pressure, I saw me come off the screen and then pop back on, so I don't know what that was about. I think the size, the strength, the pressure, the striking is going to be better than Arman's going to give him credit for. The scramble skills are insane. I think Islam's going to get it done. I don't know if he should be at minus 370, but I do think Islam's going to get it done. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, let me preface this by saying... and I've talked about this before, I'm not an Islam Makhachev hater at all. Because before most of you even knew who Islam was, I was watching those AKA vlogs back in the day with DC and Khabib, and that was before Islam even knew English. And I was like, dude, this Islam guy is fucking hilarious. I fucking love Islam. And still to this day, he is fucking hilarious. So I love Islam. I respect what he's done. As a champion, I respect his abilities. And if he comes in and wins this fight, I'm not going to be crazy surprised, right? And I gave out my UFC championship predictions. And I predicted at the end of 2025 that Islam is going to be the champion of this division. So don't get like too crazy upset with me. But with all that said, I see the look in Arman's eye, right? I see that look in his eye. And if there's one thing that you cannot be when you're facing a dominant champion is be beat before you even fight. A lot of people against these dominant champions, I'm sure people that went up and fought, like Paulo Costa when he's fighting Izzy, when people are fighting Usman, when there's these long-standing champions, first of all, everyone just assumes they're going to win, right? Because they just always win and they can't just process that they ever lose until they actually do lose, and everyone's like, holy shit, I can't believe they lost, right? They just assume wins. But a lot of the people that are going after these belts also are like, fuck, man. Like 3 or 4 people have already lost this guy. How can I beat this guy? What? That's not Arman. Arman doesn't give a flying fuck about Islam, about his abilities, about anything. He is going to go right fucking after this guy. And I have seen that when you match energy with Islam, and even if you're a 145 little hobbit striker that just happened to learn how to wrestle in the last 6 months with the fucking Bangkok fucking boys, the Hickman brothers, right? And they did him well. When you matched his energy, when you respond with the wrestling, when you're trying to go after this guy, right? I saw fucking Islam on his fucking back, looking at the clock, dodging strikes, face like this, looking at Khabib saying, save me, Habibi. Somebody save me. And if you got Arman matching that same energy with his wrestling abilities already, right? You saw the counter wrestling that he had when he was fucking 22 years old on his debut. And let me get this straight, Angelo. I think you would agree with me. I'm one of Arman's biggest fucking haters in the world. I fucking have always picked against Arman. I've said he's over it. I had Gamera. I had fucking, what's his name, that you fucking hated, Joel Alves or whatever. I had fucking, I always pick. I had Charles against Arman. Arman's going to outwork this dude. He's going to outwork this dude. He's going to outwork this dude. He's going to outwork this dude, right? And it's going to come down to whatever kind of mood the judges are in. Do they grant the forward pressure of Arman? Do they grant the defense of Islam and maybe the sweeps and this and that? What's going to happen? But he's going to fucking take it to this guy. He's going to wear this guy down. And I believe that Arman's going to have the better cardio and is able to work through these positions. And it's going to come down to the judges, and I think that Arman is going to fucking pull this shit out, and it's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe. And then they're going to rematch, and Islam's probably going to smoke him in the rematch or the trilogy, whatever. But I just think it's a dog fight. It's a close fight. These guys are so equally skilled. You saw in that first matchup, and that was more of Islam's prime than it was Arman's. That was his debut, right? And they were already pretty equal right there in the scrambles and all that stuff. I think Arman's leveled up more than Islam has. Not that Islam hasn't. And I think it comes down to just kind of a dog fight, and I think Arman fucking dogs this shit out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the odds are a bit wide. I do think this can be, and I'm a big Arman fan. I do think this can be far more competitive than the odds are indicating. I still think Islam's going to get it. I think he's just too, it sounds dumb. I think he's just too big and strong.
This dude was on his back versus a 145 striker crying for help at the end of the 5th round.
Not a great look. I completely agree. I think but then what happened in that rematch?
He was gassed against Dustin too.
But then in that rematch, knocks him out. Yeah, he was definitely gassed against Dustin, but Dustin has the ability to just take you to hell. Listen, this is a great fight. This is why we love this sport. This is a great fight. I will say, those pictures of Arman walking around shirtless are insane. You seen those pictures? The dude is shredded.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts.
Oh, I've
absolutely insane. Yeah, I bet you have.
I've seen the pictures. But that isn't, I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh my God, look, he has abs. He's going to beat Islam. I don't give a fuck about that. I watched the first fight. I've seen how relentless Arman can be. I've seen Islam fading when he really kind of matches energy, because I think Dustin kind of brought the fight to him as well, right? And you saw him start to slow down, and I just don't think Arman is going to fade. Obviously, Volk didn't fade, and you saw what happened there. It was a close fight, but I don't think Arman's going to fade like Dustin. I think he's going to outwork this guy to maybe a split win or a win.
It'll be interesting for sure. I think Arman is probably who else at 155 could even make this competitive? I think Arman is the toughest matchup that somebody he hasn't beaten yet.
2 things here. There's 2 outcomes that I think work great for the UFC. The first one is Islam fucking smokes him, right? Looks like a dominant the domination is there. He can start going, is he looking for the 170 belt? Like, if he just smokes Arman, that's probably the best thing to happen for the UFC. The second thing is that they go to fucking war, back and forth for 5 rounds. Arman wins a close decision, and then they can set up a trilogy in the summer. So those are my 2. I think that. Yeah,
I agree with
that.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I agree with that because. Yeah, I would agree with that. Worst case is Arman just knocks him out in 2 seconds. Like Islam's one and only loss, that dude was put out bad. He fell like a bag of sand, just boom. That would be worst case for the UFC. And Arman's a great looking dude, and he's a millionaire, but that actually could work against him. Being all rich and not necessarily needing this money.
People are saying
it'd be tough to negotiate with.
He makes him even more dangerous. Because he's doing it. He doesn't need it. He's just fucking doing it because he just fucking loves it that much. And he fucking works hard, man. He literally said, like, in that fight, like, I changed my training after that fight because I thought I was that dude. And I realized I'm not that fucking dude.
The fight with Islam?
Yeah.
I thought he beat Gamrot, too. You laughed to my face when I said that. I thought he beat Gamrot.
I'm a fucking Arman hater. I love Gamrot. Like, I'm saying this. Like, I like Islam, and I hate... If you guys listen to my Arman breakdowns in the past, I literally have picked against him, I think, in every single fight. So, here we are.
And here we are. Everybody is going to say that Joaquin Silva dropped Arman a little bit, had him a little... That is true. But only one of these 2 men was straight up unconscious, which is a different situation. So I think, flukes can happen. I'm looking forward to this fight quite a bit. I'm picking Islam. I think the odds are a bit wide. I think it should be 2-1, not almost 4-1, but you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. $9,400 in DraftKings Fantasy for Islam Makhachev. Listen, we got 5 rounds to work with. Let's see what Islam scored in that first matchup with Alexander Volkanovski, because if this is a war, as Jacob is indicating that could be, that'll give us a good view into what that score could be. Islam Makhachev, probably going to be in my lineup. 5 rounds to work with. I do think he wins this fight, and I think he's just going to get some of the takedowns, control some of the striking, and we're going to find out a lot about both of these gentlemen. Guys, go to WeWantPicks.com. Become a premium member. It's freaking $10. If you want everything that premium offers, great. It's $10. Good to go. If you just want to support us, that's the best way to absolutely do it. We do have an app as well. Every single thing that we do is inside the app. Obviously, the mobile browser still works. Website still works. But the app has push notifications. I sent 3 today. Place a new bet. Place a new bet. This is ready to go. All right to your phone instantly when we do things, so you don't miss out on the line movement. You don't miss out on anything like that. Just search We Want Picks in the App Store. Once you have the app, you will have access to the data analyzer. These screenshots here are from the web view. Best experience on a computer, but you can experience it on your phone. If you're watching the fights and you got some prop bets coming up and you want to look real quickly, hey, how many significant strikes does Arman land in decision wins? Oh, okay, this is the number that we're at. Great, let's go with this. Anything you could need, any question you could have, you can answer right there with the data analyzer. You can even click the button, watch the tape from the analyzer. You also have access to all the other tools like the line movement tracker. This will give you the opening odds, the current odds, win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to have access to the Prop Hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. You're going to have access to all the cappers and the picks. Me, Jakey Boy, the artificial intelligence, 2 dudes from New Zealand. One of them combs their hair. The other one does not. Every single thing that I mentioned. Freaking $10, one single package. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Any last words for the Peepy Loots, baby?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you. We flexed up to 900 live viewers. That is huge for the first pay-per-view of the year. I was worried. I always worry with that 3-week break that the algorithm and YouTube is just going to be like, oh, people don't watch them anymore because there's no fights and stuff like that. But that's not the case. 900 live viewers. We appreciate every last one of you. Good luck this weekend. And if you want to come hang out with us, we will be at PFC next weekend in Frisco, Texas. Check them out at peakfighting.com. See ya.